があるとマイクみたいになりたい。でも電話してくれない。オークランドとブックレンドから世界チャンピオンバーチャルプローズ始まるよ。
Episode 102 of that World Champion Sound podcast, Virtual Pros. This is Mike, a.k.a. Wavy Boy Smith, a.k.a. Tim Tam Bigelow, a.k.a. Leonard M. DeCarasan, a.k.a. Snacky Chan, a.k.a. Crack Saber Jr., a.k.a. Nick Glockwinkle, a.k.a. Let's see what we have here. Dr. Swagner Jr. I don't think I said that one yet. AKA Sticky Creamboat. How about AKA Sticky Fuji too? AKA Ramune Reigns. AKA Tiger Skeet Singh. That's a good one. AKA Takoyaki Hanma. AKA OG Rocky Johnson, a.k.a. Steel Gold Steam Odin, a.k.a. D'Lo Brownbag, a.k.a. Ambien Zandow. He's not even a wrestler anymore. A.k.a. Violent J.J. Dillons. That's a good one. A.k.a. Butterita Asari. So today's topic is what happens when Al is not on Virtual Pros. And I will tell you what's going to happen is I called a bunch of my friends to fill in for Al. There's going to be 4 separate segments on this episode. Got a little mailbag. Got a little so-called two-man scramble where I talk with a TNA Impact Wrestling professional. He's a historian of TNA Impact. Then we got a little, as is tradition, Wrestle Kingdom 14 recap. And then after that, instead of a mixtape, we got a little AEW entrance music analysis, and I'll let the guests introduce themselves on this. All that stuff's already been recorded. I'm recording this last. If you want to participate in the show, you can always email us at virtualpros64@gmail.com. That's virtualpros spelled out, and 64, the number 64, at gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram or Twitter, or whatever else at VRTL Pros. No more SoundCloud. SoundCloud got canceled. I think episodes still pop up on it. I think just the newest episode. But you cannot access the back catalog of Virtual Pros on SoundCloud anymore. So don't hit that heart, even though Al likes it. You got to hit that heart on other places. Al still likes it, but just not on SoundCloud. And you can listen to us, of course, however you're listening to us right now. iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, fucking whatever there is out there. That's about it. And so this episode, like I said, has already been recorded. It's very, very long, so you'll get a couple weeks worth of entertainment out of this. And we're going to take a little break, and then we'll be back with the old mailbag with a special guest. Talk to you then. Okay, we are here on Virtual Pros episode 102, and this is the grip of email segment, as Al would say if he was here, but Al is not here, so we are here with a very special guest. His name is Dr. Keith. Dr. Keith, say hello to everybody.
Hey, everybody. What's going on? It is Dr. Keith Drapinski. I don't have any AKAs because I'm not that creative in that manner of speaking. I just wanted to make sure that you're pouring one out for at SoundCloud not being there, so Al can't get his hearts.
Yeah. I don't know how that SoundCloud works. It might still be there, but it might be some deal where only the newest episode is there and then everything else is not there. And I don't know. I don't know how SoundCloud works.
I just hope Al isn't going through some weird withdrawal where he can't heart anything, because there's not any other applications that are around where we can, hit that heart. He likes it.
Yeah, there are definitely no other applications. So if you guys don't know, Keith is in. He's kind of in the biz, right? You're in the biz, the industry.
Online grocery, yeah, that's my bag, baby.
No, you've been doing wrestling stuff. You used to do like a podcast before there was even a podcast, right?
Yes. I actually hosted. Yeah, I did before this whole thing of podcasting took off, and when the internet was, just one fad that we were waiting for go away. I did a Paresu podcast for a few years called the Paresu Power Hour, and did that for a while and realized that really my strength wasn't necessarily talking about wrestling. It was asking people questions and then totally blanking out when they answered. So, like, I was basically, and then I did a show of my own, the Dr. Keith Lipinski show for a few years, and then that moved over to f4wonline.com and wrestlingobserver.com, and then I decided to have offspring, and then the show sort of went in the toilet very quickly, proving once again that kids ruin 98% of the great things that are in life.
I'll agree with that there, Keith. But yeah, so I don't, we're friends in real life. Sorry to spoil that for guys.
Wow, oh my God, kayfabe, quick! We don't want people to know this kind of stuff.
But I don't, I don't know your background. You seem to be kind of like a jack of all trades. You're kind of like me in that sense, where I've had my hand in a lot of different pots. But so is the radio show? Is that how you got started in like the biz? You would say, or were you involved before that?
It's funny that you mention it. I basically got started in the business through Wade Keller and the Pro Wrestling Torch, if you could believe that or not. The Pro Wrestling Torch, God, and this must have been ages ago when they were still an Angel Fire site. They had a sort of let's get some new columnists around. And I suggested to my good friend Greg Allenson, hey, Greg, you're funny. You can write. Why don't you do this for the Torch? And Greg was writing for the Torch for a while in a column called Tales from the Scruss. And keep in mind, this is probably 2001 and 2002. I mean, probably most of the people listening to this weren't born at that time. It was a very different time for the Americanas. Anyway, Greg wrote on stuff like that. And then all of a sudden I started writing. And basically all I did was totally rip off the Onion photo quiz. Where basically I would sit there because writing something in general has never appealed to me, but sitting there writing little quotes that don't make sense or funny little bits, that really inspired me. Like the Onion inspired me. Dave Letterman inspired me. So I did that for a while. And one of the things I did was a celebration of the great orator known as Quentin Rampage Jackson. I did this whole passage, and this was while Rampage was still in Pride, of the best quotes of Quentin Rampage Jackson. And because of that, Mike Sempervive, who was another writer on this Torch Lounge concept, contacted me and said, hey, do you know who Zach Arnold is? And at that time, for those of you, of course, that are listening to this that, haven't been around for a while, Zach Ryder ran the Paresu Power website.
Zach Arnold, not Ryder.
Zach Arnold Ryder, a.k.a. Yes, Zach Arnold was the guy behind the Paresu Power website. Great website back in the day. Say what you will about Zach, but when it came to Japanese news and great pictures of Keiji Muto with sort of like a dry ice pack on his head, Zach was the best place to go. So basically, Zach was like, hey, I want to do a Japanese wrestling podcast, and that was my foray into podcasting. I did that for a while, and it was something where I've always enjoyed wrestling, but it wasn't something like, wow, you know what I want to do? I want to work in professional wrestling. Like this is something, like I've always enjoyed wrestling. I've always been a big Japanese wrestling fan, but it wasn't like, oh, okay, I could do this. But then through the show, I believe I did an ECW nostalgia episode, and I had Kevin Kleinrock on the show. And while talking with him, I realized he liked the same bad pop punk bands that I did. My leanings were more hardcore. He was more ska. That's where the division was. But he was writing a show called Wrestling Society X, and him and I started chatting about that and stuff we would like to see on television. And then he basically was like, hey, I'm going to send you something. Can you look over it and maybe suggest some guys for it, or maybe put in some segments for it? So that's basically my introduction to the biz, was basically writing and being a producer on Wrestling Society X, which all came from the podcast.
Going back though, I never bothered to ask you, do you have like a crazy tape collection, or did you get rid of it all? No,
I still have 4 bins of VHS tapes, and I actually do have a VCR downstairs in my basement with a bunch of old tapes around it. So yes, I didn't give up. I mean, I definitely have sort of purged some of them through the years, but like there's like all the ECW commercial tapes. I wasn't going to sit there and do anything with that. You know, my 12-part Best of Ahmed Johnson VHS. That's something that I basically, the wife, it's in the will that basically I'm supposed to be cremated and they're supposed to watch all 12 VHS tapes of the Best of Ahmed Johnson during my service.
That's sweet. But fast forwarding to now, so you're some kind of, I don't even know what you do. You do something for AAW in Chicago. What do you do? What's your job?
My official title, Mike, is Executive Vice President of Vice Presidents of AAW. No, I basically every year I make a new title for myself. I mean, I basically, if you're looking at the AAW organizational chart, there's two guys on the top, the two owners of AAW, Danny Daniels and Mike Pekovich, and then I'm sort of the next one in line. So I basically, I do public relations, I do some talent relations, I do some show relations. Usually during the course of the show, I'll go over with guys stuff we want to see, stuff we don't want to see. I usually answer a million questions. I usually find questions to bug Danny with during the course of the show. I'm the primary producer for most of the online content and promos that people see. So I do a lot. I'm sort of a jack off of all trades. At one point, I was logistics manager and head of transportation, but I just, every time I drive by O'Hare and I live very close to it, I sort of die a little bit on the inside. But yeah, I basically do a lot. You know, I make sure the VIPs are going up in the balconies of the assorted places that we need to go. You know, make sure, you know, basically, you know, make sure to stroke the media as well as I can, you know.
I know how it is. So yeah, if you guys, you know, if you're a wrestler out there listening to this is the guy you need to talk to, the guy you need to send some greenbacks to right here. It's Dr. Keith.
Oh, I love the greenbacks. I love it more than Al loves hearts. What is it? Is that like a weed? Is that like a legal weed thing? Because you know, like it's legal right now, Mike. I'm surprised you're as coherent as you usually are now.
It is. Yeah, it's a whole new world. Just being able to go buy weed, even though that's a little kayfabe because you can't right now, and because it's like there's a shortage already. But
there's a shortage of legal weed in Chicago. Who didn't see that coming?
Yeah, seriously.
Luckily, I have all the stock right here. We're not on the air, right?
So we do, in fact, have a grip of email. So I got to get into them. So this show's already tipping 2 hours. I've already recorded the rest.
Oh my goodness!
You're the final piece of the puzzle. So
wow. So people have already tuned out by now. Fantastic.
No, well, this will be the first segment. It's the last segment.
Oh, this is the first segment? My goodness.
Yeah.
Starting off hot. So they're basically after me. That's when people can stop listening. So
the first email is from a guy I was wondering if you ever worked with. It's a guy by the name of Joe Supposed To.
Oh, my goodness. I worked with Joe multiple times.
Yeah. Well, that's good. It's a little reunion now. He wrote this. I think most people wrote this without knowing that you would be on the other end, but he definitely wrote this email a while ago now.
Okay.
So I don't know what it pertains to anymore, but let's see. Episode 101 put something in the subject line. Okay. Keith and Mike, I get you on the ratings dorks. I judge the shows I like by how much I liked it. I don't feel bad after I watch NXT, but it lost my key demo, 18 to 49 males. But your boy Dave Meltzer perpetuates the talk and behavior, baiting people into getting riled up over this garbage. And the AEW people are even worse with the horrible skits on that horrible being the Elite show. I heard the BTE opening them once, this is just, I think Joe made some typos, so I have to figure this out.
He was probably drunk like usual, so.
Yeah. I heard, I'm sorry, I'm reading it wrong. Okay. I heard that BTE opening theme once, and it's the first time in my fandom I was embarrassed to be watching wrestling. The Teddy and Maria deal makes me sad as we're watching an innocent life waste away day by day. I made a joke about saving these videos as state's evidence, and these will shortly be covered on Live PD, but I feel weird making jokes about it. At least Ryback is doing this to himself for our amusement. Hashtag Ryback Death Watch 2020. Am kind of glad that the gift guide wasn't just used socks and bloomers from Lady Sports Entertainers, but glad Mike brought it back around with the Sasha Banks F pillow. You got to make sure you get a video of some sort of authentication on those used goods. I've seen suspect things in the handling of those goods. Joe, a.k.a. Leonard F. Chikara-san, a.k.a. Chikara-san, a.k.a. Diamond Joe Leonard. I think... did you watch any of the Teddy and Maria stuff, Keith?
Oh yeah. How could you not? It really was the Thanksgiving gift that kept on giving. It was quite ideal. I think my kids are downstairs fighting. I'm going to go see, and then Dad's downstairs watching Teddy and Maria's Unfiltered Adventures. I don't even know what the latest is. I mean, for those of you that don't know, but around I believe it was Thanksgiving time. I believe it might have been Thanksgiving Day, as a matter of fact, something to truly give thanks for. Like around that time, Teddy and Maria started doing their own vlog, and there was some great moments. The "fuck you shellac" is one of my personal favorites, but the problem was they really needed a content editor, because a 30-minute vlog of them was not necessarily the best thing. But the problem is, any great fad, it comes and goes. Like Leonard F. Chikara, the former director of Fun for Chikara, who yelled at me one time when I called him Joe in front of the Mizarks. He sent this, and right now I don't know what's going on with their adventures. Yeah. So can you give me an update? Because this is very vital and important. Are they still doing these vlogs?
They're still doing them, but I think it was just like a passing trend. It was much like a fidget spinner. Okay. I don't think anybody really watches them anymore. I'm subscribed to the channel, so I put it on when they pop up, but I make it like 2 minutes in, and I'm just like, yeah, they need to expedite the story. She needs to dump him, or he needs to dump her, or something. But it will be 5 years from now. It'll be very interesting entertainment to watch it, to see which way these people go in their lives.
And we can thank Joe for actually saving these for us for the eventual trial that will happen. Yes. So
I also had another question stemming from this email. I never asked for behind the scenes stuff, but has AAW ever tried to book the Ryback?
Ooh, for a while there, I was really pushing, based on the world famous internet picture of him and AR Fox, just because the idea of that match just pleases me. But I believe that the times that Ryback has reached out to us, or we've reached out to Ryback, sometimes guys throw our rate because they think you're going to say no.
Yeah. And
I think he was trying for us to say no 2 or 3 times, or it was just, fast food is very expensive, as you know, Mike. So.
Yeah. I know he asked for a lot.
But think of what you get. You get the full Ryback experience, and I would assume that, we book him, he gives us protein powder, and everyone wins,
Man, he really loves that match he had with AR Fox. He talked about it so much on his podcast, so. It would have been nice to see that in real life, but
right. I think we all would want to. I think that's something that the world needs now more than ever, Mike.
Yeah. Okay, the next email is from Harpo. It's Rebooted Promotions. He says, "Gentlemen, I recently tried watching William Patrick Corgan's revived NWA. While I appreciate the amount of authenticity they've put into recreating those original studio shows, I came away from the 3 episodes I watched overwhelmed by the corniness of the whole thing, and the fact that I didn't give a shit about any of their wrestlers, other than Tom Strong, who was the GOAT. It got me thinking, is there any dead promotion that you would love to see a 2020 revival of? I could really go for a Resurrected Hustle right about now. Just thinking of the potential of Rampage Jackson bursting out of an egg, or Ryback showing up in a diaper, or some such nonsense. Japanese wrestling takes itself too goddamn seriously right now, and some goofy shit from Hustle is just what the world needs more of. Battle Arts would be a distant second for me. What do the pros think? Your boy for life, Harpo." I was thinking about this. I think my first instinct would also say Hustle, but I think,
good Lord, yes.
I think the world is just like a little too different now, where all of social media is just people repeating jokes like in hyper speed. Like, it used to be back in the day, Austin Powers came out and everybody said, "Yeah, baby," but you only really heard it a few times a day.
Right.
But now with the internet, so I feel like Hustle would be just driven into the ground. Plus, people are too serious about wrestling now, and I think some people would shit on it, and I don't know.
So what you're saying is XPW would be your close third then?
I don't know. I mean, it might work in this day and age, because it seems it's either super serious shit or deathmatch shit. No, I feel bad because I think all of my answers are just things that that still exist, but I'm just like too lazy. Like Michinoku Pro still exists. I know it's not like it was in the 90s, but I mean, I could probably put in some effort to watch it like I would have in the 90s and 2000s, but now everything's at your fingertips. Another answer would be, speaking of Leonard F. Chikara-san, is that era of Chikara, if that kind of still existed, because
that was fun.
Yeah,
that was a really, like, because I was working a lot of those shows back in that day with Leonard Boy, and those were very fun shows to work. And Quack always had, he definitely had a lot of decent, very talented students, still does.
Yeah.
But he also definitely brought in a number of names. So like the Chikara during that era was quite great. Like,
Yeah, I always thought like, oh, this just needs to get in the right hands and it's going to blow up, but it kind of went the other way. But do you have any other answers though, Keith?
Well, I mean, hustle was, first and foremost. Like when I was in Japan in August, one of my missions was to try and find as much hustle memorabilia as possible. And, luckily I did find a bunch of programs and posters, which made me, giddy. Because as much as I might enjoy like, 90s All Japan collectibles and, early ROH collectibles, just having a Hustle Aid 2008 poster hanging in the shrine is something, is a goal, But Hustle was something that was ahead of its time, and it was great because one of the people I met in Japan was Fumi from the Pacific Coast radio show. And, here's a guy that knows so much about Japanese wrestling. He's written multiple books. He's such, he's a professional. He's a professional reporter and everything else, Mike. Like this is a top-notch guy. And after a few beers, all I wanted to do was inundate him with hustle questions. So
it's such a weird thing because it was in that like pocket of when people were like getting out of tape trading.
Yep.
So it was kind of just like not everybody saw it, and it's not really a thing people really talk about anymore. There was a brief window where every single event was on YouTube, like about 5 years ago, and that was amazing. And then they all got pulled. But
the glory days. I luckily still have a lot of my DVDs from back in the day. And I think at one point I actually had a VHS tape of the first Hustle show with Mauro Ranallo calling it. But then I went through all 4 or 5 of the tape bins that I have and could not find it. And it was very sad. And as Mauro actually reached out to me and was like, so I think you have a copy of that tape, right? And I'm like, yeah, let me go find it, because I guess he really wants to see what references he can recycle.
Is this something they overdubbed? I don't remember.
Yeah, well, Mauro and Boss Vrtl were actually in Japan for the first Hustle show, because I believe the first Hustle show might have been on January 4th, and they were in Japan for the New Year's Eve Pride shows. So they just kept them a little bit longer and got to hang out with Bill Goldberg.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm pretty positive I still have the first Hustle DVD somewhere, and I don't remember it having English commentary.
No, I think it was something where the Pride office recorded it, brought it back to America, and then when the Pride office in America, which might have been the size of a cubicle, like when that sort of got shut down, the guy that was working PR there sent me a bunch of tapes.
Okay.
So
still, you're getting that extra perks for being in the biz, of course.
Well, I mean, the one thing at one point, maybe not now, but maybe in a few years, that will become the new Tom McGee tape.
So. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, so you better start bootlegging it.
Well, no, I'm waiting till the kid. My son will be in college in probably 7 years, and that's when I hit the bootleg, and then it'll just show up on the WWE network, and I'm just gonna be really pissed.
Okay, the next email is from DC. It says, "What's up, fellas? DC here, aka PJ Tucker Carlson, aka Verdon Maxwell J. Friedman, aka Rey Mysterio Jr. Seau. 1, do you feel overwhelmed with the amount of available content out there? There are so many options, current and archival footage, that I sometimes feel like I have no options. 2, I know we have all stepped away momentarily, but in terms of a permanent divorce from wrestling, do you see yourself stepping away? Mike, I have a few questions for you. 1, what is your daily routine for breakfast? Do you take the most important meal of the day seriously? 2, while living in New York, did you go to the Rucker, the Gauchos Gym, Dyckman, or King Dome to watch basketball? I guess I'll answer my questions first. I don't really eat breakfast too often. I hardly ever eat it during the week. I usually eat it on the weekends because my girlfriend kind of forces me to eat it. But I'm not a breakfast person. I'm just like not hungry in the mornings. Even when I was like trying to like follow like an actual diet plan and it's like you gotta eat breakfast, it was like pulling teeth just to eat like a one hard-boiled egg, because it's just like, I don't know. So for some reason, most of the time when I wake up in the morning, I just can't think about food.
You don't eat, but I thought you were a big proponent of the bacon, egg, and cheese, like on the hard roll. Like I just pictured your breakfast as being lush, bacon, egg, and cheese on a hard roll, or some Taylor fucking Town ham or something like that.
Yeah, on the weekends, but no, not during
the week.
Man.
So that's like more of a weekend thing, like a really interesting Jersey brunch.
Yeah, when I lived in New York, like I would wake up Saturday morning and go immediately to the bodega and get a bacon, egg, and cheese and go back home. But yeah, like I don't know, for like, because you have to wake up. Well, most people have to wake up earlier for work than they would like to, and I'm just like Russian. I don't know, food does not cross my mind. As far as the basketball, I never went to any of the famous like basketball places except for what is known as the Cage, which I think was immortalized in NBA Street. I can't remember which one, but it was like on West 4th, and it wasn't like I went there for anything like put together or anything. That was just like the one basketball court I would pass. So that's the only famous ones of those I've ever been to. Do you feel overwhelmed with the amount of available content out there? Yes, I do.
Absolutely.
It's like, I think about it often, and I'm like, maybe I should be one of those weirdos and just go back to buying and watching DVDs, because I have that mentality where if I buy it, I'll be more likely to watch it because I spent money on it. And I've been weighing that option in lately. I haven't done it yet, but I might start. And I don't ever see myself not at least paying attention to wrestling. I'm pretty out of WWE right now. I'm sure I'll get back to it at some point. But like, I would even in the parts of my life where I really didn't watch any wrestling, I would still either check out Observer Radio or at least the Observer website. So I don't ever see myself completely going away from it. This is probably a much easier question for you to answer, Keith, because you're never going to be divorced from wrestling.
I have a feeling that there will always be part of my heart in this stupid man and woman play fighting business in some way or other. I can't. I'm in too deep now. Like, it's something where I'm just like, okay, I've come to realize that this quote unquote hobby I have that usually does bring me some enjoyment sometimes if we're lucky, but like I realize it's something I truly enjoy and truly love being able to be part and shape and create stuff. So yeah, I don't see a divorce happening, but yeah, I feel absolutely overwhelmed. Like when I sit there and look, I mean, I don't really buy that many DVDs, but I have so many streaming services, and I'm just like, there was a British company that's now under WWE rule that I had a streaming. I was subscribed to their streaming service for about a year and a half, and I think I used it once. And then if I sit there and actually think about the financials that I actually spent that went back in, Paul's pocket, Paul being Triple H, for those of you out there that don't know, like, it's one of those things where I'm just like, oh man, like it's hard. It's hard. Like, especially this week with, the Wrestle Kingdom shows and everything else. And just like, it's hard to keep up. And especially when there's so much out there, and there's so much out there that, I don't necessarily care about. I mean, I think right now, like Mondays and Fridays and Tuesdays, stuff gets put on my DVR, and then a lot of times a week or so later, stuff gets deleted quickly from the DVR. I enjoy the Wednesday night wars. I enjoy the Wednesday night shows a whole lot, but at the same time, I'm just curious, because this show this week, Mike, has different people in different segments. I really hope this is the highest rated segment, and then the demographics here. I hope the Vrtl Pros Patron or whatever it's called. I hope that has an in-deep analysis of at least the demographic for this one. So
we'll see.
But you got to remember, like, the big time when I learned about these evil dirt sheets, which might have been 1998, maybe Mike, like the ratings were a big part of it. Like where it was something where this is how we determine it. And it was sort of like the livelihood of the business is on here. And it's sort of like now it's sort of like the livelihood of one of the shows, and then the other shows, like, you know, the third show that they have in the course of this week, not including, of course, the show on the Fox network or the Fox FS1 network. So
oh no, I'm with you, but it's really horrible to people talk about ratings. I understood it back then, of course, but now it's just like it doesn't matter anymore.
Well, it's because of the whole iPad thing, because of the fact that, you know, I know you were probably watching AEW on 3 iPads.
I was.
And then you were watching next on probably a 1994 console TV, which probably costs, you know, like that's probably at least 10,000 viewers right there on the old Nielsen ratings box that you have on your thing. Or
I still have the original one. The next email is from Eric. It's how do you feel about the New Japan after Wrestle Kingdom? Short and sweet. How do you feel about New Japan after Wrestle Kingdom 14? I didn't watch most of 2019 because it looked pretty lackluster, and it seemed like you felt the same. After cherry picking Wrestle Kingdom 14, I feel the vibe is back. How about you, Eric? Spoiler alert, we talk about this in 2 segments from now, I think. And, but I'll spoil it now. I do feel invigorated after watching this Wrestle Kingdom. It seemed, it's so crazy because, you know, I stopped watching for the past several months because I'm like, it's the same people and they're just having the same level matches and they're all great, but it's just like, yada, yada, yada. There's only so much you could take. And now it's just like they do like 1 or 2 little tiny tweaks and now it's like a whole new ball game. You have a new champion. There's all these new challengers, and it's like fresh all over again. So I am a little invigorated. I don't know if I'm going to watch every event, but I'm sure to probably at least keep up with it until at least the G1 again. So, but did you watch Wrestle Kingdom at all?
I did. I watched both nights, and I also watched the New Year's Dash.
Oh man!
So I felt incredibly overwhelmed while watching all 3 of them. You know. And it was something where I was sort of like planning my week according to, okay, like, I got to get a kid to basketball by this time. Okay, while he's practicing, that's when I could start watching, you know, Naito versus Jay White. And like, okay, you know, they have like maybe a 5-minute halftime. Okay, maybe I can get through a match during this time. Or like maybe the Never 6-man, oh, why am I watching this? Okay, I'm going to fast forward through this. So, I really think Wrestle Kingdom, I enjoy companies that build up to something and then they can build new stuff and then also figure out where they're going with certain things. So I think the Wrestle Kingdom shows did a pretty good job of that. I mean, part of me though, I really felt that, you know, like I thought both shows were very, very good. You know, could it all condense down into one super show? Potentially, but I was happy. I was happy pretty much with both shows because it didn't feel like the one thing I really like about New Japan Pro Wrestling is when I watch it, it doesn't feel like a chore. Like it doesn't feel like, oh, God, I have to like, you know, who's going to get married on this show to make me interested in this? You know, like where it's something where, you know, when I was out there for the G1, like those shows just flew by and I was just like, wow, this is pretty fucking great. Yeah. Like, you know, and I think the Wrestle Kingdom shows were both very solid and led to some really, really cool stuff. And, you know, I'm definitely looking forward to the next few shows. And also, I think also the fact that the G1 is a little bit later this year because of the Tokyo Olympics. Yeah. I think that's also going to help because you're going to have less time between the end of the G1. The end of the G1 will be mid-October. And then they'll just have the 2 months with the, you know, World Tag League, which was much better this year than it had been in previous years. And then you'll have Wrestle Kingdom again. So, you know, I definitely feel excited and invigorated for what what happens next in New Japan.
Yeah, it's good because they don't have that lull where they have to pretend that somebody's going to lose their briefcase shot. And that's just kind of like, that's when it gets the most WWE. But yeah, you're right. It's, even though you know you're going to get at least one 30 to 40 minute match on every New Japan card, it's still not a chore because it's always good. It's never the shits, as they would say.
You're never like, you know, it's not like the glory days that we had back in the day of the Pressu Power Hour where Naganishi was, you know, oh my goodness, he's actually going to be a champion? What kind of backwards thinking is this?
We have one more email and then I think there's a couple Discord questions. So the last email's from Adrian. It's regarding Mania Week. He says, "Hey, virtual perverts. these wrestler-themed Mania shows that Game Changer puts together are a decent way to keep that overcrowded week somewhat fresh. If y'all could book a wrestler-themed show, who would you base the show around? What would be the theme, and who would fit the bill? Stay Dangerous Adrian, a.k.a. 100 Geeks, a.k.a. Mance Warner Brother, a.k.a. NJPW Young Boy Never Broke Again. My joke and my serious answer is probably Survival Tobita. I don't think this would be a very well-attended show. But I loved Survival Tobita. I've had my Chinese Democracy of My Life is my Survival Tobita zine that is never going to actually come out. But I feel like he's a guy that needs to be celebrated more. And with all these WrestleMania shows, there's so fucking many. It would be fine to have one weird one with a man named Survival Tobita that wears army fatigues and drinks beer, wrestles people dressed up like monsters on a gym mat somewhere, probably in somebody's house or in the back of a restaurant somewhere. And I think that would be the right kind of weird shit for enough fringe WrestleMania weekend fans to really get into. So that's my answer.
What about what if they did this while another one of these WrestleMania shows is going on? Like, what if all of a sudden, like, in Section A of wherever GCW is running, another show gets started, you know?
Yeah, that happens at big fests for bands all the time, so that'd be pretty good. Like, after the third match, then the first match on the Survival Tobita Boutique show starts. That would be, I think that would work out.
I think, you know, like, let's say it's Marcus Crane's Bondage a Go-Go. By the way, get well, Marcus Crane. And then all of a sudden your show starts off right in the middle of that, you know, where it's sort of like, okay, we're taking over. And at least now the show has a more central theme that everyone can relate to. Too many shows in a small space in a matter of time, you know?
Yeah, we're joking about it, but this will definitely happen within the next couple of years if WrestleMania weekend keeps getting bigger and bigger. I think this has to be the peak. I thought last year was going to be the peak, but this has to be the peak this year.
Or it'll be the year where guys are just like, okay, you know, maybe this isn't where I do not remember off the top of my head. Has the announcement of WrestleMania next year has not been announced yet, correct?
Was it LA? I don't know if I can't remember if LA was rumored or if that was set in stone, but I know that's what I heard.
Okay. So, you know, you have a full year to think of things. Me personally, I would rather not have another wrestling-themed show because that just seems boring to me. I would rather like to bring in, like, the Rock and Jock MTV theory and just have guys play basketball instead.
Oh, man. That would sell. That would
just because it would be different. It wouldn't be like actual, you know, if wrestling actually occurred during the Rock and Jock, you know, I would be even happier than that, you know. Like, you know, we'll have, a penalty box on the side with a ring, and then, you know, guys could have their grievances there and see what. Haven't you always wondered which professional wrestler could hit the sickest 3-pointers? Now we have that chance. If they could sit there and hit the 25 bucket, or even get, like, you know, maybe get the reporters, like the wrestling journalists, versus the actual wrestlers themselves, who they feel obsessed with constantly talking about. Could you see Ryan Satin potentially trying to dunk on the Ryback?
There you go, Dr. Keith's Rock and Jock B-Ball Jam.
I would sit there and sponsor that as my own thing. You know, like, you know, it's something where, you know, there's been discussions where, you know, you guys want to run with us this weekend? You know, we've had people ask us if we wanted to do a show, and the main reason why us at AAW Pro on Twitter hasn't run a show is because we ran a show on Bourbon Street, and it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun for us. It sort of ruined it ruined the people that were there. It ruined their, you know, New Orleans experience. Where you think about that statement that I just made. You know, you're in one of the best places on earth, and your experience is ruined because of something. So, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, like the people that have contacted me about it, I've replied back. I'm like, no, but I'm willing to do a show. You know, Dr. Keith presents, hey, everyone else is running a show, so why can't I? You know,
yeah. Basket Brawl. There we go. Dr. Keith.
Well, I would totally be down with that. And I think a lot of people would be down with that. You know, I know you guys were talking a few weeks ago during episode 100 about things and achievements that you guys like to sit there. I think sponsoring this would be a fantastic option. You know, at a very, very low financial price point right there. You know, I'm sure you're writing this all off anyway.
Yeah. Dr. Keith's Basketball has just got its first sponsor. It's
fantastic. Look at that. I still got it, baby.
Okay, I got a few questions real quick to go through on the Discord.
On the award-winning Discord.
Yes.
A fantastic way to spend your working day.
The first is from Small Doink. It says, Dr. Keith, why hasn't an American promotion booked Gunzo yet? Sincerely, Small Doink. He's on the fringe of wrestling, so he says a lot of names in that Discord. I'm just like, I don't fucking care. I don't know who that is.
He's very good at the fringe names, though. I'll sit there. I believe also he might also have season tickets to the Bulls, which is of great interest to only me and Mike right now, and no one else listening to this. So, you know why? Because we're too fucking scared. We're a bunch of cowards. That's the reason why we would not book him for anything. So, he's a talent. I mean, to do the Japanese death match right, you have to have a certain level of talent. So, God bless him for that. But I mean, there's basically, and I'm just going to reveal another secret here. Most people in wrestling are fucking cowards, Mike.
That makes sense. I could see that. The next question real quick from Maddie. I think this is a joke question, but he had a question about Keith's friend Max. Does he have a small hog or what? This is directed towards
the Maximum Ride? Come on. That's Keith's friend Max. And of course I had to ask which Max, because there's multiple Maxes that are out there in the professional wrestling world. So, obviously he does very well with the piece that he has, but I've never been when that picture of young Maxwell with the Speedo and the long hair went around, there were questions about, what's going on there? Is it something where, maybe he's tucking it underneath, maybe something else is going on. And he's told me, no, the water was cold, which I can agree with him on that. That happens to us all,
Yeah, you get out of the water. It's cold, man.
I'm sure those pictures from me in a Speedo at Morton West High School in 1989, that water was incredibly cold and freezing. I didn't have the hair that I was trying to grow the mullet, and it just grew out. It was very, very, very puzzling time for the human anatomy and myself.
So the last one is a serious question. It's from Turning Heel Andrew, aka Gothic King Kong Bundy, who does a TNA recap YouTube channel called Turning Heel, I believe.
Nice.
He did do bite-sized Ryback videos where he edited Ryback's terrible long-winded videos, but Ryback made him stop, of course, because Ryback fucking hates fun. How hard is it to get a show like Windy City Classic streaming on Fight and have it look 1,000 times better than other shows? Andrew, aka Gothic King Kong Bundy. I actually wonder this too, because not so much about it looking better, but it just seems like a lot of dubious things end up on Fight where I'm just like, I don't understand. Is there do you just call up some guy and he's like, yeah, do you have 2 cameras? And the guy's, and you're like, yeah. And he's like, that's all you need. Or is there more to it than that? Do you need more than 2 cameras to get on Fight?
I think you could potentially upload anything to Fight, and then they could sit there and say yay or nay on it. Okay. I assume the Fight people all have all look like the Emperor's guards from Return of the Jedi in red cloaks, giving thumbs up and thumbs down. No, it was just thankfully we worked with our good friends at Smart Mark Video and used our normal cameras, and it just turned out. To me, it was a home run evening for us, even with the show ending a little bit like Mance cut a promo afterwards where a lot of people got in the ring, and as someone that was on the side of the stage, I couldn't tell, but it definitely seemed like the ring was sort of giving in on itself. And thankfully, ring announcer Jimmy D was very polite in telling people, all right, we can't have any more other people in the ring. As a matter of fact, can some of you people get out of the ring right now? So, I was very happy with our first show on Fight. I hope to have future announcements in the future of when we'll be back on Fight, because I thought it was just a really, really great show, and I was very happy with everything that happened, and I was especially happy with the large tall boy beer tosses that I threw to Mance Warner from the side of the stage at 115 Bourbon Street.
Another insider question: does Fight have like a quota where they're just like, if you don't sell 10 of these, then you're getting the fuck off, or does it even matter to them?
don't think it really matters to them because they have a lot of the times they have a lot of free stuff on there.
Yeah.
So why would it matter to them on that? Now it might matter, of course, to our good friends at the Smart Mark Home Video, of course, but but like I mean, in general, it doesn't seem to matter to them. And the numbers that the introductory numbers that we got for them, we were pretty pleased with. I don't think we got final numbers, but we did get demographic information, which I will discuss on the WrestleNomics podcast at some point down the line. So,
well, okay, that is it. This was a lengthy, as usual, email section. This is going to be a mega-sized episode, guys. You better fucking strap in. But Keith, do you have anything else to plug before we say goodbye?
Not really. Just definitely check out myself on Twitter at Keith Lipinski. I'm also on the Instagram as well. And definitely support AAW. Our next show is going to be Friday night, November. Friday night, November 24th. Come out in November for our next show, guys. We've decided to forget the model of running shows every month that we're just going to sit there and go. We're going to wait till next November. We're going to wait till after the G1 buzz of this year is all over, and because we know everyone loves the Olympics and apparently Japanese rugby, we're just going to wait. No, our next show is Friday, January 24th at the beautiful Logan Square Auditorium. Definitely come on out for a new dawn. It's our first show of the year. We're looking forward to it. And Mike, definitely thank you for having me on. As a longtime Vert Bag, first-time caller, I appreciate being on the show.
For sure. You're in hollowed halls now. Very few special guests or co-hosts ever on this show. Okay, so we will be back with the next segment. Goodbye. Okay, we are here again. I don't know, maybe we're back. I think this is the first segment of this episode. This is a very special episode of Virtual Pros without Al. And I am here with the one and only Doan, a.k.a. the producer.
What's up, world?
What's up? He's back at it. The only guest co-host of all time in Virtual Pros history. He's back finally after many years.
Two-time.
This would usually be the segment where we would do the two-man scramble, but instead...
Two-time scramble. Instead, a month or so ago, Doan alerted me that he not only finally downloaded Pluto TV, which we'll get into in case no one out there knows what Pluto TV is, and he started watching TNA on Pluto TV, and that if we ever needed a TNA expert on the show, that he would come in and let us know about TNA, which That's
is
exactly what I said.
Yes, and it's a TNA, for those who may not know, is a wrestling promotion. Well, now it's called Impact Wrestling, but it's the same shit.
Yeah.
But more importantly, for people who don't know, Pluto TV is an app that I believe is on anything that downloads apps at this point.
I watch it on my browser. I don't even use an app. I watch it on the actual computer.
Jesus Christ! So Doan's deep into the Pluto TV.
I think I downloaded it from my iPad, but I haven't even used that. I just watch it on my computer, through Firefox.
Pluto TV is basically
real internet stuff.
It's an invention that if somebody gave this invention to you 10 years ago, you would be completely amazed. You would be like,
I was amazed when you guys told me about it.
You would just be like, this is the most amazing technological advancement in our lives. But basically what it is it's a free app, free television that has, I don't know, like a couple hundred stations.
And they're all very specific TV stations. They're not like ABC, NBC. For wrestling people, there's a TNA channel, as we got into. There's a triple A channel for Mexican wrestling fans. And I think there's even an ROH channel. I've never seen it on there, but I've heard people say they watch ROH on Pluto TV. And then there's all kinds of other shit. There's Mystery Science Theater. There's all this stuff. So, I kind of I've never really had anybody to talk to about Pluto TV with, so that's the real reason I wanted Dylan to be on the show, because like he just said, he seemed to be very amazed by this. So so how often are you watching Pluto TV?
So I think you and Mark F told me about it. It feels like maybe October or so, and then I had someone else tell me about it before then, but I don't. A lot of times I just don't pay attention. I'm like, yeah, it sounds great. But then when you guys told me like what it is, and I was like, whatever. And then the one night I found it, I went on the internet as one does, and I logged on. And the best way, I've described it to people, is that it's almost like airplane cable. Like when you fly and it's like your entertainment thing, but you only get these weird channels that only play like 5 episodes of The Office, or it's like sports, but it's a documentary about like a marathon runner. Like that's what this is. It's just like very. It's all owned and run by Viacom, so it's basically anything Viacom owns, which is a lot at this point. They have a channel for it, or they will show some show, like whatever. I forgot what your initial question is. I
just how often do you watch it? Because to preface this, Doan lost cable in a losing cable incident many years ago now, and
very famous incident. It's been a while I've had cable. So, but one could say I was an early adapter to cutting the cord.
Very early adapter, yes.
Yeah, I watched October or so. I watched it probably. I would put it on at night before I went to sleep when I was getting stuff together, or if it's a weekend. If I'm just doing stuff, I'll just put it on to have background noise, like anyone would do with the TV. These days, not so much. I mean, I've. My brother and I have scammed our way into Disney Plus, so I'm slowly investigating that. And then there's also just other shows on other streaming services that have taken my attention away from Pluto. And also, it didn't help that they're very inconsistent. I'm pretty sure it's all just run by computers. So you might catch the same episode of, I love Are You Afraid of the Dark? And that was the main thing that sort of drew me in there when Mark was saying you can watch episodes of that on one of the Nickelodeon channels. I think they only showed the same 4 episodes. And that started to upset me. So these days, not so much, but I'll still put it on here and there. And then to lead into sort of this segment is, I told friend of the show, listener Pants, about it, and he jumped on Pluto as well. And one day, one of us just happened to be watching the TNA channel and was just texting the other one, put this on, man, because I think he, like me, never really watched it, and so this was sort of our first. I think he watched it, but not that much, but way more than I ever did. And so for a while, we were pretty deep into watching this TNA channel.
So you didn't find this organically then. So Pants tipped you off to the TNA channel.
Oh no, I knew it was there.
Yeah.
I mean, let's get it out there. I told Pants about Pluto TV. And I was like, look, I gave him the spiel I tell everybody, but since he watches wrestling, I was like, there's also a TNA channel on it. Yeah. It's all TNA. But I'm always there's an Unsolved Mysteries channel. There's an MTV channel that sometimes plays Beavis and Butthead. There's a 007 channel that only plays James Bond. But we were both aware of the TNA channel.
Okay. Yeah, because I think you or Mark are told me, because I've known about Pluto for a while, for at least couple of years since it came out. I just never used it, but I always said,
Mike, come on, what are we talking about? This is 2019. They didn't have this technology in 2017.
They did, man. I'm telling you, there wasn't really well publicized in 2017, though. It was there.
I don't think it's still well publicized now. It's kind of amazing, to be honest, still that it exists, and I've seen little to no advertising. I've seen no advertising for it whatsoever. Anyway,
I get it. Like, I have a Roku, so when you turn on the TV, it'll have like little ads in the corner, and it's always like download Pluto TV, and like it'll say shit like that. But I don't see other shit outside of that. But yeah, until then, I always thought these were just like pirate TV stations that were somehow broadcasting on this weird app, because again, another wrestling thing that I said is AAA, the Mexican wrestling channel on there, is it just shows like weird handheld events, like handheld footage events from 2004, and it's like you put them on anytime you Wednesday at 8:00 you put it on. It's some event from 2004. You'll probably catch the same one, like Dylan said, with the Are You Afraid of the Dark? They only show like the same 4 ones. So after seeing that, I was like, there's no way whoever's behind this Pluto TV is legit, because why would you show this? But I mean, you did the legwork and the research, and I guess Viacom owns this, and I don't know why, because some robot programmed a channel that just shows handheld AAA Mexican wrestling events for no reason.
Again, I think it's really someone at Viacom, like, we have so much, we own so much programming, we have like backlogs of so much crap, but it's like, I'm sure somebody out there would want to watch it, like, they're sort of just like doing free promotion for themselves, you know what I mean? Of like, oh, you want a whole channel of Gordon Ramsay stuff? Well, it's all here. And it's not going to be the same show. It's going to be a whole melange of all his shows. And I still think it's really cool they do it. It's just, it's all a crapshoot. You never know what you're going to get. And they take in ad channels all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, they must make enough on ads to be content, or they're just too lazy to start a real streaming service. So they're just like, yeah, this is good enough. We make enough money off of showing these. One of the things I've always put on is the cat channel that always just shows cats getting into precarious situations. And
there's those two cute channels, like 3 of them.
Yeah. I've never delved into the music channels. There's channels that play music, just like old school digital cable, but
I don't go beyond the kids, like the Nickelodeon channels that are towards the bottom. Like after that, it turns into the Latin channels, which, no offense to anybody, but I'm not that great at Spanish, so I don't really go there.
Yeah, it sucks for me, because I'm pretty sure one of those Spanish channels just shows, I want to say Colombian catfish. It's not like Mexican, and I don't think it's Spanish or from Spain. It's from another Latin American country. I just can't remember which one. And I'm like, man, I wish I understood Spanish, because I want to know what's going on in this foreign catfish. But
yeah, it sounds wild. I feel like for people who don't know, we should also mention that while this is streaming, it's not like you can choose what you watch. You can choose the channel, but whatever's on the channel is what you're stuck with. Yeah. So again, it might be that one of those 4 episodes of Are You Afraid of the Dark on, once again, you can't choose the other ones if you wanted to.
So yeah, basically, if you're poor or you lost cable in an incident, some kind of incident that made you lose cable, and you don't know about Pluto TV, this is a glowing endorsement. There is enough to keep you entertained for at least a few weeks. But so TNA, so how often were you discovered it? You and Pants started watching it. So how much were you watching of TNA?
I'll be honest. It started out with me and him probably every other night during the week. He'll just be like, "Hey man, you catching this, Samoan Joe match against blah blah blah." And one of the other one would put it on, we'd watch it for a little bit. And we used to do this with Raw. Like I'm sure everyone does this. Who watches wrestling. Like you text your friends and make fun of what's going on. Again, I think that sort of fizzled. Probably like November, but that's because the holidays were coming up. Taking all my sweet Pluto time away from me. And then again, other apps and shows and stuff more deserving of my time. So yeah, I know there was like a hot minute when it was probably like every other day we were watching a little bit.
So you watched enough to, I mean, because again, I think I said AAA was stuck in 2004. I'm pretty sure the TNA they show is from, the 2004, 2008 range, I think, usually. I don't think...
So, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, I don't think it's any newer than that, but I could be wrong.
So in boning up for this this very special 2-time episode, I started watching. I was watching an hour almost every night since last week, probably like the second or third after New Year's or whatever, and it started off, I think, 2004, and as of last night, I was watching 2017.
Oh,
so
man.
It covered. I saw the meager beginnings, the highs, and now like the lows again. Because like the in between that, it got to, I think, bound. I took notes, but it might have been. So it started off the Asylum years from June 23rd, 2003.
Yeah.
And then after that, I caught Lockdown from 2012. Main event is Kurt Angle versus Jeff Hardy.
Huh.
And then, as of yesterday, Impact Weekly from October 12th, 2017, they're talking about Bound for Glory, and they're big. Not only they have racist old Jim Cornette on there, but they had their big draw, which, I have a soft spot for the guy, was Parkour Master John Morrison, Johnny Impact. And it looked real meager, man. The one last night was like pretty sad.
Yeah, I think 2017 was the year. Yeah, that was the year that they're pretty much running on fumes because they screwed
fumes.
Yeah, they screwed Billy Corgan out of buying it, yeah. And then now they're run by people who are richer than Vince McMahon. They're run by actual billionaires that aren't sinking any money into it, but they just basically bought. You're probably not familiar with it, but there's this channel called Axis that's basically it showed it showed New Japan Pro Wrestling. It had like once a week it would show that, and outside of that they just showed like Meatloaf concerts and just like cool. Those kind of like VH1 concerts that maybe your parents watched back in the day. Nice. So the people who own TNA bought this whole entire channel just so TNA can have a TV channel still.
Wow. Must be nice.
Must be nice. So a lot of people who've watched TNA think it's horrible and it's bad and it's ridiculous. Did you have these feelings watching TNA? Were you like, I'm watching this because I think it's silly, or were you like, I'm watching this because I actually think this is good wrestling?
So I've always been generally intrigued, but I think as we've discussed before in this podcast and other podcasts, it was always hard to draw me from the major promotions of WWF and WCW. Even though I grew up watching, cheaper wrestling, for lack of better terms. But this is real cheap wrestling, man. It is. It's so like the 2004. I think what countered that was like, oh, but this is just like the beginning, even though it didn't have stupid. I didn't see Jeff Jarrett on there.
Yeah.
But it had. So I'll backtrack even further to when I think the first time I remember watching TNA, which was maybe early 2000s, around this time, and I'd heard these names, and it might have been when I was working with a guy who was starting, not to name drop here, but he was starting AIW in Cleveland. Ooh. And so he would name these names of like wrestlers. I'm like, I don't really know this. But he's like, oh, he's a guy from like Ring of Honor, blah, blah, blah. But I remember him mentioning Joey Styles. Or AJ Styles, not Joey Styles. And then one night I remember sitting at home and TNA was on like TNN or something like that?
Yeah, it was on pay-per-view only for the first couple of years. No one watched it. And then TNN, aka Spike TV, I think was after that, yeah. But
it'd be on like random like weird nights, like Fridays or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I caught it and I remember seeing the 6-sided ring, which is silly. But then I saw AJ Styles wrestling and I was legit like, holy shit, look at this guy. Like, it blew my mind. I was like, this is the future of wrestling. Like, look at it. He's like flying all over the place, but he's not tiny, you know? He's doing these like all sorts of moves that don't look like super choreographed necessarily. And so, like, watching that 2004 episode of whatever, it still had that, like, you'd see AJ Styles, or you'd see, you know, somebody of note, or like, but before they were big, or you know, like Samoa Joe or whatever. And so you're like, oh, they're like, this is cool because I can kind of appreciate, you know, this is where you came from, whatever. But then, like, yesterday, watching that 2017, like, it was just, like, just bad. Like, I don't want to say, it just reeked of, like, it was corny. And, like, didn't care. The wrestling wasn't anything, like, it wasn't terrible, but wasn't good. You know, everything was just middle of the road. And, you know, and it's sad, but, like, you kind of can't make a name for yourself via wrestling being middle of the road, I guess. I don't know.
This is Doan here, amateur TNA watcher, and he's figured this out, that TNA has just been middle of the road for I don't even know how many years. Yeah, it sucks.
Super bland.
It sucks. A lot of the people in modern day TNA Impact Wrestling are the same people that I see on a monthly basis here at AAW, which is the local Chicago promotion. And so I'm just like, maybe I should like TNA because I see all these people like once a month. And, I don't like, it's still just kind of like, there's a lot of other things on television to watch where I don't need to watch this. So maybe it was better off being kind of weird and, having a 6-sided ring and, a pay-per-view where every match was in a steel cage. Yeah. Maybe that was the better era.
So yesterday they had some guy came out. It's like Cowboy, something or other.
James Storm?
Yes. Yeah. And they're like, he's been here since day one. And I was like, oh man, that's kind of sad, man. So James Storm was, we doing a year-end awards, and he won my saddest wrestler one year because, he actually did. He had like a tryout match in NXT, and, they wanted to sign him, but instead he just went back to TNA. So he's just like, he's a real lifer. He's, more comfortable in TNA. He doesn't want to excel past that. Good for him. You know, some people are just that, and good for him. I had, I did have a one question off the top of my head. I don't know if you have the answer. So sometimes they would have a 4-sided ring, and sometimes it'd be 6. They can't like swap that out, right? It takes it takes hours to put a ring up.
No, I think they started out with a regular ring, and then at some point they switched to a 6-sided ring, and then they switched it back, and then they switched it back again to a 6-sided ring, and now I think it's a 4-sided ring. So they kept flip-flopping on what they wanted to do. I think, you know, there was people that thought the 6-sided ring set them apart because it's kind of weird, but from what wrestlers have said about it, they said it fucking sucks to work with. Like, it doesn't make any sense and all this shit. So
it looks good on paper, but watching it used in real life, it's just really awkward because everyone seems very mindful of where they are. You know what I mean? They're always kind of looking behind them and making sure they're not, you know, running into a ring post or whatever.
Yeah. It's, I think it's kind of tough if it's not something you're used to.
Yeah, also, I mean, just to go back to what you're saying, that 2012 lockdown had Vince Russo, so no wonder it was nuts for a while. he stuck his himself in there.
He showed up. He's been hired and fired from TNA, I think, a few times. The last time, whatever weird, like, I think they were on the Weather Channel. Legitimately, I think they were being shown on the Weather Channel. And
was that when the Hardy Boys rose to prominence?
I think so. That might have been Pop TV. No, that was Pop TV. That was after. Oh. No, that's the Weather Channel, I think. I think they said, like, you can be on our station, but if you hire Vince Russo, we're gonna kick you off. And so they had to secretly hire him for some reason, because they love that guy so much, even though he was successful for like 1 year of his entire career.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I like wrestling's just weird like that, where
Sure.
it's like once you're into it, you know, you could get a million chances, like racist old Jim Cornette even. Like you can just keep getting chances over and over again. And it's not like
liberal Hollywood.
Yes, exactly like liberal Hollywood. But yeah, like it's just something where they try anything to stick out, and like you said, it's just they always come up a little short, a little bland, I guess. I do think, you know, that Weather Channel era when they came out with Matt Hardy, that was amazing, and it sucks that they got their one thing stolen away from them and squandered by WWE, and it just kind of died out, unfortunately.
That big money. Yeah, and that's what it was also kind of sad just to see, like, anyone of promise that was on TNA either was in their twilight years, having come from a bigger promotion, or you're like, oh yeah, and then they left to go to WWE. Yeah. You know, it was like, there's no, I mean, such is the business, I guess.
There was like a, Xavier Woods, that guy, the guy from the New Day. Yeah. He has this video game YouTube channel, and he did like a video where he like he did like a tour at AJ Styles' house, because AJ Styles is a big video game guy. Yeah. And I was looking at his house and I was like, this is just kind of like a house like your parents would buy. Yeah. And then I was like, is AJ Styles really poor? And then I was just like, and then I remembered that he was in TNA for like fucking 20 years. So he doesn't have the money to buy a fancy R-Truth style house with a recording studio in it and stuff like that, because he was toiling away in so he has like a modest like family house. And
he's also got like those 8 kids though.
Yeah, he does have a lot of kids, so you can't be buying mansions, I guess, when you're feeding 8 mouths at the same time.
He's just a humble guy.
He's a humble guy.
He's a humble, phenomenal one.
Yeah, even his video game collection was just in like a spare room, like on a bunch. Like they probably shouldn't have made this video at all, but because his collection, was just on like those metal shelves that you put together from Walmart, and they were just like he still has shit in like plastic bags and stuff, and it's a really good video. I'm glad they made it, but maybe they shouldn't have. But I guess to wrap this up, because I got other guests, Stone. But do you have any last words on TNA? Or so you're not gonna keep following it. You're not watching it on a weekly basis on. I think they actually, I don't know if they still do, but they used to broadcast for free on Twitch every week, and so
I'm good. I want to just run through some quick notes I had.
Okay, for sure.
That Father James Mitchell guy, who apparently is still there, as far as I can tell.
I think so.
He looks like James Lipton.
Yes.
Okay. Raven was on there. That was cool. With CM Punk a part of his stable.
Oh man, that is old school TNA right there.
Yeah. I also have Pretty Boring. And then I have Raven is basically Keith from Righteous Gemstones. Because it's like when Raven's weird physique's gotten like even more weird.
Yeah.
Let's see. Sting and jorts in a fanny pack and shades talking about being saved to Mike Tenay. Mind you, he was saved in August of '98. There was so it was AJ Styles versus D'Lo for the championship, and it was I think a ladder match, and AJ Styles was on a table outside the ring. D'Lo did a frog splash off a ladder inside the ring, and I legit was like, "Holy shit!" I texted Pants about that one. They had a knockout like gauntlet match, and Awesome Kong obviously came out. And I googled Awesome Kong just to be like, "Oh, where is she?" And if you do, a really wholesome picture of her comes up. It looks like a portrait for like like working at a bank. But at one point, the classic, like they all align themselves to eliminate the giant person, and the 5 women go, dump Awesome Kong over the side of the ring, and her whole top comes off. Like like it was like half the screen was pixelated.
Holy shit!
So I imagine if, for the people there, they were like real in for a nice treat there.
Do you think it was planned, or do you think this is
not at
actually?
All. No, like I would like a little bit like her whole top just like came off. Like I'm sure she probably had to scramble to put it back on. in Lockdown 2012, Kurt Angle versus Jeff Hardy. Again, like I think this is their glory days, sort of. Jeff Hardy does a swanton off the top of the cage, which I typed that out in all caps in my phone. That was impressive.
Yes.
Pants commented, "This era was all pilled out legends."
Yep. Yeah, that's true.
Very true. I think this is when Sting had his Joker thing going. And I also have a note that says Bobby Roode really benefited from a haircut.
That is true. That's very true.
Yeah. So again, it was very interesting that I saw the 4 to 2012 to 2017. It was like chronicling the rise and fall of, a career. They tried, say the least.
TNA, they tried. That's the that's the thing.
Yeah. Pluto TV, everybody, check it out.
Do you have anything else to plug besides Pluto TV?
Well, I got a little something that you and I and Mark F and S Williams collaborate on. It's Snacks Chat 2000.
That's on Instagram. Yep.
Yeah, if you get all you people out there at the Instagram, look us up.
It's snacks with an X. Snacks Chat 2000 with an X.
An X, the number 2 and 3 zeros.
Yes.
Look us up. That's about it. I'm not really doing much else in terms of pluggable stuff, but once I come up with something, I'll be sure to be back on the show 3 times to plug that.
Once again, making history. The first 2-time guest host ever in the history of Virtual Pros. 2 times.
Shout out to Al.
Yep. Everybody's chasing your shadow now. They are living in your shadow, I should say.
Try me.
Well, thank you for being on, and
hey, thank you, Mike.
Hey, you're welcome. And we'll be right back with some other segment.
Peace.
Okay, we're back here on Virtual Pros, episode 102, the special guest episode where you hear many different voices besides Al's, because he's gone on a trip.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Al. So for this segment, we have JB. He is a guy that you may know from. He does art. He did one of our shirts a while back. He's half of a clothing group called Hard Man, and they make rival wrestling t-shirts. So he's also kind of my rival. He's also a wrestling poser, as we found out.
Yeah, that's true.
Watching Wrestle Kingdom, which is what this main segment is about. Wrestle Kingdom.
Who's this Naito guy?
Yeah,
what's his deal?
JV actually does not watch wrestling. He didn't even know who the Fiend was. So
yeah,
he's so I have this wrestling poser in here to talk about the biggest event of the year in the Virtual Pros universe, I guess, which is Wrestle Kingdom. Al usually is lucky enough to actually go and sit in the front row like a very rich person, but he's not going to be back for several weeks, so we'll get his recap once he comes back. But I watched it with JB. We watched it in 2 different locations. We watched it at my house and we watched it at Brady's house. So our friend Brady. So we have 2 days of this shit. So first off, yeah, that's also JB. I don't know. Do you want to plug anything else besides Hard Man Clothing?
Yeah, we got Gutter Boys with fellow Virtual Pros alumni Cam Del Rosario.
Yeah, that's a podcast that comes out once every 3 months. So maybe if you're lucky, maybe the full moon is out.
Hey, we're going on a regular schedule. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So yeah, check out Gutter Boys. It's about funny books, as my grandpa would call them. It's about funny books.
That's right.
Yeah. So about Wrestle Kingdom. The first thing is,
how do you feel about this 2-day extravaganza? Are you after dealing with it and having to travel from your house to other people's houses just to watch this shit for 2 days and 8 hours? Are you do you want it to continue to be 2 days, or would you rather it be 1 day?
I think the 2 days only works if it's like a very specific, gimmick. I don't think they could just do that every year,
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, even with the double belts that they did this year, I don't think that's a strong enough gimmick. If it was like a tournament they were doing, I'd probably be fine with it, but like those first 4 matches of the first day were all bullshit throwaway matches that no one's ever going to remember. And they kind of had to do that because they were sort of setting up matches for the next day. And it's just like, I would personally just like a 1 day, 12 match card, even if it's fucking 19 hours long, because 2 days is just, I don't know, it's too spread out for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's still, even if it was back to back on 1 day,
yeah,
it still would have been shorter than WrestleMania, and you still would have had better matches overall.
Yeah, that is true. WrestleMania is like fucking 8 hours this year. So,
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I feel like every other Wrestle Kingdom card, there's always like 2 or 3 filler matches anyway.
There always is, but they're always like the culmination of something. This year, they did like the regular New Japan event thing where they just had 8-man tags. And it's just like, this is why I watch Wrestle Kingdom, not those other things, so I don't have to sit through this shit. But yeah. How do you feel overall about Wrestle Kingdom? Are you pro Wrestle Kingdom? Do you think this is great? Do you think this wasn't as good as previous years? What do you think?
I think this might have been my favorite Wrestle Kingdom since 9.
Wow, I mean, I guess I could be with you because there's like 3 or 4 really amazing all-time matches on this, but it's also they're kind of cheating because it's 2 days, so it's like they have more time to get there. So I don't know. But yeah, I could see that, I guess. What were the big matches for you here?
Well, I mean,
G.O.D., Finn Juice,
exactly.
Yep.
Juice versus what's his name? Crowley,
Aleister Crowley,
Crowley Ambrose.
Yep.
No, I think with the 2 days, I think you had the two the semi and the main for day 1 were really good, and then obviously the semi and the main for night 2 were amazing. I thought the junior heavyweight title match was really good. Trying to think of what else. Oh, the never openweight match was really good.
Yeah, maybe.
No, with Kenta and Goto, you didn't like that?
I really don't like Goto. I don't.
Oh, me neither. Me neither. I don't care
for
him.
I feel like he never loses at Wrestle Kingdom, and
he's lost. I've seen him lost at Wrestle Kingdom.
When was the last time he lost?
Didn't he lose at the last one?
No, he beat Suzuki.
Oh, it was against Suzuki.
Yeah.
Well, he loses 9 times out of 10, so you got to give him 1 on the big show, right?
I feel like he wins way more than he loses
on
these Wrestle Kingdoms.
He literally had a Titantron video of him losing.
You're lucky this is not a real podcast, or I would search the stats right now and prove you wrong. But I don't really care.
Brady. All right.
I think that shit's for nerds. In my mind, I'm going to remember that Goto always wins. You could remember whatever you want. But what I remember in my mind is the truth. That's how it works. Ask the president. That's how it works for him.
That's true, and it works out pretty well for him. So
yeah, so that's how I believe. Whatever's in my mind is the truth. Goto always wins.
Fair. You win this round. You won. Good job, Mike.
And they don't ever follow up. He just becomes a bum again for the next 9 months. And it's just, I don't know.
Did he lose the belt at New Year's Dash?
Oh no! I think the only matches they had at New Year's Dash were all like shitty multi-man matches. I don't think they had anything meaningful.
Okay. So he'll lose it at the next big show then.
Yeah, I mean that title sucks. Anyways, it's just, it used to be just for hard men, which was cool.
Yeah,
but now it's just kind of like a title they have, and there's no real rhyme or reason to it.
Kenta's a hard man.
He is a hard man, and maybe now that they maybe won't have an Intercontinental belt, maybe they'll have better matches.
You think they're getting rid of the IC belt?
What do you think they're going to do with it? Do you think they're going to do it like a tournament? What do you think?
I don't know. I don't think they're getting rid of it, that's for sure.
Well, some guy carrying around 2 belts is dumb, so...
You mean cool?
It's cool, in a way, if those 2 belts were combined into, like, one thing.
No, that's dumb. You got it mixed up. That's dumb. 2 belts, cool.
No, it's cool when your title is several items, like the All Japan Triple Crown. Like, that's cool. And that was comprised of a bunch of different heavyweight titles. So if they do that, that's cool. But if it's something where he gets to choose if he wants to do the to defend the Intercontinental title today and then another title the next day, that's dumb. That is stupid. That's what you do when you have 8 wrestlers and you don't have somebody.
They kind of do only have 8 wrestlers.
That's what everybody says, but they have a shit ton of wrestlers. They're just always in multi-man matches. And no cares.
Well, yeah. Maybe Shingo. No, he's not ready.
I feel like he might be him and there's somebody else that I was thinking is probably going to break out. Well, obviously Will Ospreay. I think he's going to move up to heavyweight. Speaking of that, Dave Meltzer said that was the best junior heavyweight match to ever happen in the Dome. Do you?
Interesting.
I think I might agree with that. I think that was a very good match. And
it was.
Like, it reminded me that. Because there's a lot of guys, I won't name names, because we don't shit talk on Virtual Pros. I don't know what people do on Gutter Boys or whatever you call your little podcast, but there's no shit talking.
Only positive vibes on Virtual Pros.
Only positive vibes on Virtual Pros, but there's a lot of flippy guys on the independents.
You tell them, Mike.
And I like that wrestling, but they're like, he's the next Will Ospreay, and it's like, no, he's just a guy who's like kind of acrobatic, and those
you give
guys
it to
like.
him.
Him and like Hiromu and all those fucking guys, man, they're just like, they're on another level where it just ruins that whole style. You said it too. It just ruins that whole style for everybody else who does it because they're so fucking good at it. Ricochet, obviously. And that match was just like that times 10. Like there was a lot of shit in that match that could have been really bad if it was lesser experienced people doing it.
Yeah.
I also heard that Will Ospreay broke his heel. Like,
okay. I believe that.
Maybe not broke his heel, but injured his heel. I don't want to put words in somebody's mouth.
Bruised his bone.
He hurt something in his heel like pretty early on in the match and still did all that crazy shit. So I think, I've been thinking about it all day because I knew I had to record this bullshit. So I'm pretty sure
Thank you very much.
I'm pretty sure that's my favorite match of the weekend was that match. I think that's the match that's going to stick out the most. I know you're a Naito lover because that's the only wrestler you know because you're a
That's right.
Poser,
no, I don't. So. I actually just found out about him yesterday. You guys were explaining to me who Naito was in his whole storyline. I was like, sounds pretty lame. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, there was that one little transaction of moves during that match.
Yeah.
Where you and I were just like, well, I've never seen that before.
Yeah. There's a lot of even Hiromu's finisher. I've never seen that before. I don't think that's one of those moves where I think if you're fighting somebody with a different kind of body, maybe you can't do that move to them. I think there has to be a lot of talent in that move. A lot of small people and talent. You can't do that.
Time bomb too.
Yeah.
Time bomb dos.
I don't think he could do that to like Tanahashi or anything like that. So.
Well, I don't think he could do a lot of moves against Tanahashi, to be fair.
Well, I think, again, I'm old school. I like old school wrestling. Yeah. I think if you have a finisher, you have to be able to do it to everybody.
That's right.
And so I don't
Russian leg sweep.
Yeah. Like Kenta struggled. That's why Kenta failed in WWE because his finisher is impossible to do to 90% of the roster. So it's just like, what's he going to do? But I mean, he even struggles now because the boys are a little bigger in New Japan than he's used to, I think. So
he's also just beat to shit at this point.
Yeah. He's an old broken down piece of meat. That's, that's him. Speaking of which, Tomohiro Ishii not really a factor in Wrestle Kingdom this weekend.
Yeah.
Pretty sad. I don't know. Do you think it's down to the old man tag teams for him? Do you think
oh man,
that's a run?
That's a big bummer to think about. I don't want to see him in a Tenzan position because he hasn't gotten to that point where Tenzan was.
Yeah. I mean, I was even thinking before going into Wrestle Kingdom that maybe this is what Tanahashi's going to be doing after because he's another old broken down piece of meat.
Sure, but he's like, he's gotten to that level. He's gotten to that point in his career where you can walk away and be like, yeah, I've done all I can do.
Yeah, I guess Ishii doesn't really have those accolades. He's just a guy.
Right, which is crazy to me.
And I mean,
if anybody out there pre-ordered that Super 7 Tomohiro Ishii figure, he might be a bum by the time you get it because it doesn't come until like May. You're gonna be regretting that. You're gonna say, "Oh man, this guy is doing comedy matches. He's the new Captain New Japan. They made Ishii the Captain New Japan.
Absolutely.
What am I gonna do?" See,
I have these two exact same heads, and I feel like an idiot. God damn it!
You'll have to buy the separate Captain New Japan head for Ishii because that's what
I mean, Ishii in that costume would be another level.
That other guy, fucking Ishimori, he didn't really do much either.
No, well, he was in that junior heavyweight belt match.
What are you talking about?
Ishimori?
Oh, the tag belts. Oh,
yeah, he was with LP.
Oh yeah, I zoned out for that. I don't watch that stuff. That stuff's below me. That's
I thought it was decent.
I'm glad it wasn't a 4-way like it usually is, but it's
yeah.
But I think the reason it wasn't a 4-way is because those are the only 2 junior tag teams they have right now. So,
well, didn't they just have a tournament? I didn't watch it, but
I don't. I'm a wrestling poser too, JB. I have to rely on
virtual posers.
Yeah, I have to rely on Al for all the Japanese stuff, and then I just pretend that I know what he's talking about. But I mean, I don't fucking know. I don't know any of that shit. I don't know how to read that language. I don't know what the fuck those people are saying. Just kidding. But
hibiscus.
Yeah, I know. Man, that made me lose. Oh, yeah, and so what was the last New Japan you watched before this? You been keeping up with it or no?
Semi. I was kind of on and off after G1, to be honest, because I feel like after the G1, it's kind of normal to be burned out.
Yeah.
And especially after what happened with the G1 fallout, I was just like, I don't care. I don't care at all. I think King of Pro Wrestling was the last one I saw, maybe. I can't remember. It was it was the one. It was the match where Goto lost his title shot.
Okay, Goto, who always wins, like I said.
Yes, exactly.
One of the few times he lost, but
sure, yeah.
But yeah, I haven't watched since the G1, and I'm pretty glad I didn't because I wouldn't say I was getting burnt out, but I was kind of, I was thinking less of New Japan, I would say, whereas I kind of got spoiled of seeing it all the time, and I'd just be like, whatever, it's fucking wrestling, I don't care. But taking 4 months off and watching it again, it just reminded me of how much better New Japan wrestling is compared to what I usually watch, which is independent wrestling. No slight on those guys, but it's just like, it's like one thing is like a very rich, heavy meal that maybe you only have a few times a year, and then there's independent wrestling, which is like something you enjoy, but you enjoy it more on a weekly basis.
Right.
And so I'm glad I took a break, and it, like I said, it just really made me appreciate how insane those guys are, just like the shit they remember to do. I don't speak the language. A lot of people in the matches, they don't speak the language either. They don't know how to speak to each other, and I'm just like, I don't know how they fucking remember all this shit. It's just crazy to me. But yeah, so I'm really glad that this kind of invigorated my interest in New Japan. Am I going to forget about it in a month? Probably. But right now I'm pretty pumped on it. I'm not going to watch Fantastica Mania because it's just like,
out of your mind.
The last couple are just been kind of like whatever. So I don't know. The last one I really enjoyed was that last one that Shinsuke Nakamura was in, I think.
Yeah, that was good. Don't you want to see Lance Archer in a luchador mask? That's pretty enticing. Yeah.
How do you feel about Lance Archer? Because I'm not too hyped on him.
I've always liked Lance. I don't know. I feel like ever since, because I like Killer Elite Squad, but mostly I would say 75% because of Lance.
Yeah.
And so seeing him in the singles and his run, I don't know. I've enjoyed it. I think he's really good. There's not enough big foreigners,
But they got all these fucking people. They got like Chris Jericho coming in and Dean Ambrose. So it's just like,
oh my God, that fucking match too. God, I fell asleep during that match. It was so bad.
Which one? The Lance Archer or John Moxley one?
No, the Tanahashi Jericho match.
I thought that match was pretty good. You don't appreciate the classics like me because you're a wrestling poser.
That's right. Who's this Jericho loser?
Yeah,
look at him.
That guy, I mean, he looks like a fat piece of shit now. He puts stupid shit on his face. He looks like an idiot. And he's still, really good at wrestling, even though he has the body of a man you would not think is good at wrestling now. He used to have the body of a man that was good at wrestling, but now you look at him and you're like, there's no way that guy can do anything. He's still doing fucking lion salts. I mean, he's not going as nuts as he used to, but
he's keeping up with Tanahashi again, who's a little slower than he used to be. But
see, my favorite old timer, big high flyer, L.A. Park. That guy put on twice the weight, and he can still do all that shit.
Yeah, I don't know. He's gonna have a heart attack in the ring someday, though.
Yeah, sure. But you watch that man do a tope, it's like someone's gonna die.
But he only he does like one or two things though, and then the rest is just brawling. Chris Jericho,
it does the exact same thing.
I don't know.
He's primarily a brawler now. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I guess that's true. You got me there. I'll give it to you.
You heard it here first. Virtual Pros fans, write it down in the history books.
Yeah.
The JB Rowe invasion, successful. Gutter pods for life.
That's a match they should do, LA Park versus Chris Jericho. Make it happen, AEW. Make it happen. So the two Okada matches, I assume you thought the Naito one was better?
Yes. Although I will say that Okada Ibushi match was really good. I mean, I don't know. Has Ibushi ever had a bad match?
Yeah, he's very good at wrestling.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. But yeah, both matches were really, really solid. And I would say that's probably like first or second favorite Jay White match.
Yeah, I agree with that. I said that on the internets. But I also hate every Jay White match.
Oh, I saw it. That's why I said it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, just want to clarify. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. I hate every Jay White match. So that one I was like, this is actually good. I don't hate watching this. So that was pretty good. Obviously the Naito one told a better story. I kind of wanted Ibushi to win, so that was kind of a bummer, but I guess it makes more sense for him to lose.
Yeah, although they had me going a couple times there.
Yeah.
Where I was like... No, go ahead.
No, even the Naito thing, I wasn't 100% convinced he was going to win either, so... Yeah,
when Okada kicked out of that Stardust Genius press, whatever, I was about to throw something at the TV. I was like, no, absolutely not.
So, another match we could talk about quickly is Sonata versus Zack Sabre Jr., probably a sleeper hit, in my eyes at least.
I liked that match.
Yeah. I think it's like a match that's going to kind of get buried and no one's going to really remember it, but I thought it was really good. We probably the next episode of Virtual Pros will probably be our year-end awards, and I'm always searching for a better white guy in panties than Zack Sabre Jr. And I don't think I'm ever going to find it, man. He's so good at doing that weird style where he just puts you in holds and erotic submissions and stuff like that. So I don't know. He's still my white guy in panties.
Yeah, I can't think of any white guy in panties to begin with.
I mean, it's a stereotype. They don't have to be white or wear panties. They just have to be
okay.
Good technical wrestlers. But
so I was thinking Daniel Bryan is in panties.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, he's in WWE, so doesn't really get to show off that he's a good technical wrestler anymore. Then you have, I think Tim Thatcher is a pretty good one.
Thatcher's great.
Yeah. Jonathan Gresham, but I saw him for the first time live over WrestleMania weekend, and I was like, he's no Zack Sabre Jr., that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, who is?
Yeah. I don't know. A lot of people don't like the guy. Who do you... No,
that's not me.
Yeah.
Just clarify here. Virtual Pros scoop.
Yeah.
There's no LIJ references in Sonata's new video packages.
Oh, man.
Wonder. You know what that means? AEW Invasion.
Yeah.
Led by Sonata.
Exactly.
He's turning.
That was, everybody was saying that was going to happen at New Year Dash because he teamed up with, I think Naito, somebody from LIJ, but they didn't do it there, so, but maybe they're waiting. Speaking of which, though, who do you think is ultimately going to beat Naito for the belt? Who do you think it's going to be? Who's the next? Are they going to go back to Okada? Are they going to try and make somebody new? Is it going to be Jay White? That's going to upset everybody.
If it was Jay White, that I would actually stop watching. Ishii. No, I have no idea. I have no idea where they're going to go from this because I feel like this culminated so much, not just that angle, but in a lot of way the promotion.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I know. I'm just gonna play it safe and say Okada's gonna win it back because that seems to be the safe bet. I don't think Kenta's gonna win. Maybe. I mean, even if they do turn Sonata, I don't think they're gonna give it to him for a while. I guess you gotta throw Will Ospreay in there as maybe a dark horse to win it. But
yeah. Shingo, maybe, if he's in the heavyweight. I don't know.
Yeah,
well, who was in the finals in G1?
Ibushi and Jay White.
Okay, so maybe Ibushi. Maybe he'll get a second shot.
It could be Ibushi, yeah. Could be him. Or finals a couple years ago, Goto. It could be Goto.
Oh, yeah. Because he doesn't lose, so technically he would be next in line for the belt. That makes sense. No, that
he doesn't lose. He won the Never title. He beat Kenta, so that's...
Maybe he can get the Neverweight belt and then also win the heavyweight belt.
The other two belts, and he could unify all three.
There you go.
We'll have the New Japan Triple Crown, and then it would be cool. It would be cool then. Okay, so I think I think overall this was a good Wrestle Kingdom. I'm not too cool with the 2 days thing. Let's bring it back to 1 day, or do some kind of tournament to keep somebody interested for that first quarter of all the matches. But overall, I think you're right. I think it was it was definitely better than last year. I don't know if it was better than 2 years ago, but 2 years ago and 3 years ago, I don't know, but it's definitely better than last year. Do you have any closing thoughts, though, JB?
Closing thoughts. Yes. I think the next big storyline for New Japan that will carry the promotion into the new decade.
AEW Invasion.
AEW Invasion, followed by Ibushi finally murdering someone in the ring. Just full ghoul mode and actually kill somebody in the ring.
I think he might murder himself before he murders somebody in the ring.
That's certainly a possibility. He did literally give himself a neck bump by himself.
Dude. That was pretty scary. That's usually the type of fright I save for a G-Raver match, but I was definitely like, "Ooh, man, that he's probably inches away from dying."
Oh, so. Absolutely! He just wanted to die. I've never seen a living creature want to die so badly.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
But no, I would say overall, 10 out of 10. It was. Again, I'm going to say my favorite since 9, and 9 is the one that got me back into wrestling.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Well, there you have it.
Yep.
There you have it. There's JB, professional wrestling wrestleologist. He knows everything about wrestling, and he says 10 out of 10 for Wrestle Kingdom.
Yes,
so
it's my new rating system.
Thank you for being on, JB. Do you have anything to plug before I kick you out of here?
Oh yeah, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Mort Crimp Jr. Or go to my website at jbro.com and subscribe, whatever. Review. How does that work? Anyway, to
get that heart, he likes it.
Yeah. Gutter Boys podcast, where we talk about small press comics and making them and yada, yada, yada. So yeah. Thanks for having me, Mike.
For sure. We're taking a little break. Okay, we'll be back.
Right. Mwah.
Okay, welcome back to Virtual Pros episode 102. I am now here with Scott. Scott is if you guys don't know, we do a podcast together called Border Boss, where we actually talk about music a lot. Scott has also been on some bootleg episodes of Virtual Pros that have been floated around the internet. I don't know if you guys listen to them. They are very rare. I think 30 people listen to them, but so he's kind of not a stranger. He's kind of familiar if you listen to Border Boss. But I wanted to have somebody on the show to do this very special segment. I am interested in wrestling music and the wrestling entrance music, and it's very rare to be able to talk about wrestling entrance music with somebody who has no real connections to wrestling at all, who's just judging it, who's scholarly on actual music and will
judge or like critique actual wrestling music with me from kind of like a blank slate, just critiquing it as actual music. This kind of stemmed from Al saying he listens to wrestling music in his car, and I think that is just deplorable. And I think that's just, I like wrestling music, but I think it has its place. I think it has its place as wrestlers' entrances. I don't want to really ever hear it outside of that. This kind of lined up with the fact that AEW is a new promotion that I'm sure Scott knows nothing about because he doesn't watch wrestling. So I'll explain it to him. AEW is a newer American promotion that's kind of like the rival to WWE now. And they kind of appeared out of nowhere, so they had to create a whole bunch of new wrestler entrances. Some of these are kind of old. Some of them the guys were using on like the independent scene. But either way, it's a whole new world of wrestler entrance music. Famously, it's been the same handful of people composing the WWE's wrestler entrance music for literally 40 years at this point. So to have like all these sources making their own terrible wrestling entrance music and giving it all to AEW. At first, when the show started, I was like, a lot of the music is it's horrible. It's really bad. It's really fucking awful. They need to lose all of it. But now we're a couple months into AEW, and these 10, I chose 10 and plus a bonus. I hope Scott listened to the bonus, but if not, it's no big deal.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I did.
But,
yeah.
Okay. So these 10 are the ones I find the most notable. I'm not going to say I love them, but they're ones that aren't just somebody like doing like a stock guitar riff for 30 seconds that they loop over and over again. It's, kind of notable music. So we're going to go over them real quick. I am personally judging them.
Is AEW a viable rival to WWE, or is this like some David and Goliath shit or something?
No, it's so there's a bunch of like a handful of guys that were kind of becoming free agents all at the same time, and they're all like the most popular guys that aren't signed to WWE, and they're like, instead of joining WWE, why don't we find a backer and create our own wrestling promotion? So they found this guy named Tony Khan, who's the son of a billionaire who owns like a couple real sports teams on top of other shit. So this guy backed it, and they got like a deal. They're on TNT. They're on prime time. They have like a real show. They have real pay-per-view. So it's the real deal. I don't know how long it's going to last, but it's the real deal. Yeah. Yeah. And they just kind of signed like the talent that was available. And like I said, some of this music existed before AEW, and a lot more of it didn't. They kind of had to make it on the fly. I'm kind of judging this first as actual wrestling entrance music, and then secondly as actual music, because there's only maybe a couple songs on here that I would not be completely embarrassed about listening in public as actual music. So the first one is a tag team group called Santana and Ortiz. They are also known as LAX at one point, and they were also known as EYFBO before then, but now they're known as Santana and Ortiz. Their theme music is called Proud and Powerful. And hopefully, if I'm not lazy, if you guys somehow do not watch AEW, don't know what these songs sound like, hopefully I'm playing them as bed music while we're speaking, if I don't get lazy. But it's kind of a rap song. It's definitely a rap song, but it's, you can tell just by the kind of the sample or the loop they're rapping over that it's maybe not the biggest budget rap song, and the chorus is cool because it's like, I don't know if the guy's like layering his vocals himself and it's just 5 of himself, or there's a couple other people in there, but so it sounds cool. They talk about being proud and powerful a lot because that's their tag team. I think it's pretty good for a wrestling entrance team. As an actual rap song, not so good. I don't think I would listen to this on the streets, but I mostly picked this one, and I don't even know if Scott remembers this, but a long time ago he told me a story about when he was working as a graphic designer and
what a coincidence! I was going to open with this anecdote. Perfect.
Okay, so then I don't need to jog your memory, but that's the way I chose this song first. But Scott, take it away.
Yeah, when I worked for my first job as a graphic designer. People don't know I'm a visual professional.
Scott's done a lot of the Vrtl Pros shirts. Actually, I didn't mention that. There you go. Yeah,
very popular shirts. One of my first jobs was in like a little crappy kind of music studio, graphic design studio for the local music industry, and we had a lot of struggle rap clients, a lot of, like crappy little like grifters who were trying to make a I don't know, shit into gold or something like that. And one of them was named PPM, and you would see PPM in your mouth as a sticker, PPM in your mouth as a sticker on cars, like cool cars, Escalades, riding around town, and that stood for Positive Powerful Management. And he came. I think the guy went by Powerful. Like I think his name was Powerful, and he was like a stout man. He was kind of like the Kingpin from Spider-Man. He was a powerful guy, a lot of gravity. And we set up his website for him, and we asked him, okay, well, you need like a username and password. What do you want for a username? He said, he like sat back in the chair and like actually looked up at the sky, and he said, hot. So we gave him the username hot. And so okay, you need a password. We're going to put and this is the old days. This is like late 90s, early 2000s. So we would do this open air. You didn't have to any like LastPass. What do you want for your password? And he said, he looked up at the sky again, scratched his chin. He goes, Powerful. So username was hot. Password was Powerful. Now you can hack them. If it's still PPM in your mouth, I think is their website. So if they still exist 25 years later or whatever, feel free to hack this. So yeah, I listened to this song and it's fitting because it sounds like struggle rap. The lyrics are kind of tricky because one of the primary lines is we don't throw gang signs. Yet here's the screenshot of these guys. They're clearly throwing gang signs. I don't know if I'm missing a step. Are they demonic in some way?
No, they're not demonic.
These like satanic dudes?
No.
What is Pazuzu houses? Because that's the devil from fucking Exorcist.
Yeah, that's they were in like a little wrestling group before this, and they called themselves Team Pazuzu because I think that was like the projects they were from or something like that. But yeah, so they have cool. I guess before AEW they had some demonic ties, you would say.
Cool. Yeah. I love demons. This sounds like this would be like the best shitty local rapper. Cause it's cool. It's fun. It's hard. The rhyme is really weak. The flow is really weak. But I'm a mark for the big, huge beat. Like the big, is this a genre? Like big, stupid, slow beats like this?
I think so.
I could probably be listening to this. Whatever this is, I could listen to this kind of shit. This is not the worst. It's pump up. I'm pumped. I'm very, I like when a strut is happening, like a monstrous strut. And this is definitely like I'm waiting for, I keep waiting for a big guitar to happen because I feel like all wrestling themes need like the really shitty down and down and down, like Stone Cold guitar to happen. Doesn't happen in this one. This isn't bad though. This is like, I think I said to you, I was confused because I was expecting you to send me all stinkers. Yeah. Like really embarrassing stinkers. And, I'm feeling this one. I think this song was, not bad. What did you like this one or is this,
Yeah, I think this is one of the better ones. This is on, the upper echelon of AEW theme songs for sure. Again, still, it's not breaking that border of me listening to it outside of, wrestling, but, it's good for an entrance. The next one,
I would love to see one of Al's, driving around playlists because this shit you sent me, no one would listen to a playlist like this. Is insane. Like if you just listen to wrestling theme songs, this is ridiculous. No one would, you can't get in the mood to listen to this variety of music. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's weird it is weird to have a familiarity with other music and then turn to wrestling music. It's just like, it boggles my mind. But the next one is, speaking of regular music, this is Darby Allin's theme, and it's a song called I Fell, and this is, wrote and recorded by a friend of the show, Wicca Phase Springs Eternal. This is not what Wicca Phase, I don't know, I'm not like an avid Wicca Phase listener, but I don't think he makes music that sounds like kind of like old, scary goth rock that often. I think this is one of the few wrestling theme songs you can listen to outside of wrestling. This is a really good song. I would even go as far as saying this might be a little too good for a oops, sorry, hit the play button. This touch of it. Yeah, this song might be a little too good to be a wrestling entrance theme. So yeah, I'm a big fan of this song. I think this is probably the best song out of all the AEW bunch. It's the most listenable. It's the most that sounds like a normal song. And I don't know if this song was in production before Darby Allin came along and they just kind of like linked up or what, but But yeah, this is an A+ from me.
Kind of opened these up half-assed and just let them play in the background. And this one, I was like, what's going on? Like, did it switch to something else? Because you gave me a playlist. I was like, did something malfunction? Because I was like, yeah, this is real goth shit. Like, this place, like, oh, this is the real goth shit. And I turned over to I looked over and I just kind of scrolled and I see the screenshot of the dude and he's got this Hot Topic Misfits thing going on. And that's fine. I'm fine with that. And I scroll down, it's Wikiface. I'm like, oh, okay. And he was in some kind of hardcore band once. So, it would sort of stand to reason that he could handle the, the punk goth sound or whatever. But yeah, this is pretty authentic. It's not the kind of stuff I listen to very often, but it sounds real. This totally sounds real. And that makes me wonder, back in the day when I used to watch some wrestling and there would be like a metal or cult or punk gimmick wrestler. They were just wrestlers once the bell rang. Mm-hmm. Like, do any of these characters based in the subgenres, do they do anything to represent the subgenre? Do they like, is this guy a goth? Is he, or is there any straight edge wrestlers or anything like that? Do they represent? Do they actually?
He's kind of like a spooky guy. Like, his name's Darby Allin, obviously named after Darby Crash and Gigi Allen. Yeah. And so he's kind of like a punk dude. He's known for hurting himself pretty badly by doing dumb shit. So the song definitely fits in. It's kind of amazing because I think if he was somewhere else where they like wrote a song for him, it would definitely be like the Disturbed type of kind of like aggro-ness. So it's cool that they probably let him choose his own song and that it was an actual good song that he maybe listens to in real life.
Yeah, the Wikiface thing confuses me. I listened to him because I listened to him originally when he was still doing what I like. Give me some space to work, but I think he was doing Witch House in the beginning or something like Witch House music. And to me that didn't bother me. I kind of like lo-fi, shitty, vapor wavy, chill wavy shit. I don't really care for the sad boy vocals, but they perfectly fit this. And I really admire that he got that terrible muddy production through channels because this sounds like it was recorded through a pillow. His vocals. And there's others like that too. I'm like, Jesus, like, these guys need to go to PPM in your mouth management for some better studio time because a lot of these guys sounded like they recorded in the next room, even some of the big rap tracks and stuff.
To be fair, this is just some guy's playlist. I didn't take this from the official AEW site, so this shit might be stuff this dude ripped from television, to be honest. I don't really know. I didn't bother to check if any of these songs were officially out on Spotify or anything because it would just been too much work, so that could be on me.
Well, that makes sense. That's going to make sense later in the list when I discovered something else, but
Okay. The next one is one that's confirmed on Al's car playlist and kind of the catalyst of doing this segment. And this is Chris Jericho or the Inner Circle's theme song Judas by Chris Jericho's band Fozzy. Al allegedly legitimately likes this song.
And, come on.
And I think it's because Al doesn't listen to a lot of guitar-based music, so I'll give them the pass on this. There's other people on the internet that I see, they say they legitimately like this, and they should know better. This is a real Welf said he likes this song in like a corny dad rock sort of way, but I don't know. This song's very bad. I don't have any other way to describe it. It's everything about this is real shitty. It's good for Chris Jericho, shows that he has another talent, I guess, but it's just not. It's not for me. It kind of works as a wrestling theme song, but the fact that he probably wrote this without wrestling in mind, like he just wrote this as a song to be enjoyed by non-wrestling fans, is unbelievable. So as a wrestling entrance, kind of okay. As listening in your car type of music, no way. There's a billion better songs out there. But Scott, what do you think?
Is that Jericho in the middle of the picture?
Of the picture? The hat on. Yeah.
He looks like shit.
Well, he's older.
He looks like shit.
He's an older boy now.
I guess I didn't know he was getting older in the background. He looks like when they bring back one of the actors from Dallas on SVU to be a villain or something like that. He's aged. And I actually I did watch wrestling during the Y2J era, and I like this guy. He hadn't really gotten that funny yet. When he did get funny, I think I watched up until at least when he cut his hair, because he cut his hair off, right? And he had a stylish boy haircut. I was definitely followed up till then, and we kind of liked him, and we listened to that first Fozzy album. Didn't love it back then because it's basically just covers. It's traditional metal covers. That's like a bunch of Twisted Sister I would not have recognized this song as a Fozzy song if I hadn't scrolled down and said, what the fuck? So did he actually betray someone in AEW to become a Judas? Is that like a
No, I'm telling you, man.
This...
I could be wrong, but I'm almost positive that this song was written completely separated from wrestling, and this was just a song he chose from his record to become his theme song, basically.
Is he one of the movers and shakers in AEW? Is he like a president of AEW or something? Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's one of the top dogs, yeah.
I haven't thought about Jericho much in 20-something years, and correct, maybe I'm off on tangent, but did he do like a cruise that had a controversy because of like the head count of babes or something like that? Is that...
Yeah, that was last year. Yes, that was him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I heard that. That's exciting. And then all of a sudden I'm listening to podcasts that have nothing to do with wrestling that are on the Jericho network of podcasts. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? And now here I am listening to Jericho song after Jericho song, and it's Y2J again, the Y2J20. But this song is a very good exhibit piece for explaining like mid 2000s popular metal to people. I think because this is really good at what it's doing. You know, I don't like it, but this is state of the art. Like this is probably the best produced thing on the whole list. It's got that big maximalist songwriting and like that big anthemic hook and shit. And it's just like, this is like Linkin Park or Disturbed or like Five Finger Death Punch. It sounds exactly like those bands, maybe even a little bit better. It's got the same like phony revolutionary vibe that they all have. If you listen to that POD Youth of the Nation song or any of those songs, I'm a weightlifter again. I got back in the gym, and the weight room I go to, I think I've mentioned, is stuck on the channel that plays Eminem and like this genre of music. This pump up, post new metal. I don't even know what you call it. It's not exactly new metal. It's something else. I hear all this shit, and it's all has this fake revolutionary vibes. None of these bands are fighting against shit. These bands aren't doing any kind of. There's nothing punk about any of these bands. There's no real metal to this. This is just like the current version of Def Leppard, basically. It's just really catchy, except that they have really sick amps. So they sound awesome. They sound super heavy. They sound awesome. It's amazing to me that a genre like this can be both the peak and the valley, because this is the best produced metal of all time and also total dog shit. And, it's like empty and hollow in the middle. And, this wasn't for me, but I think Jericho's traditional metal background shows, because that like, become, whatever it is. There's a pretty crucial hook there, man. Like that part is almost good. It borders on being melodic and not the worst thing ever. But yeah, full marks. This is like, I think we said it on, one of our other podcasts, our All Holes Filled podcast. I think I talked at one point about how people are backdooring another career. Like if you if you make a cartoon like Metalocalypse or something like that, you get to also make people listen to your metal. And good for Jericho. He built a whole wrestling empire so he could make people listen to his fucking band.
Okay, the next one is MJF's. This was like a theme song that I assume he bought when he first started out, because he's had this theme song since before AEW, and it's kind of just a normal wrestling theme. I think it's very catchy. I think it works as a wrestling theme. It's instrumental. There's no lyrics. It's just a simple. It definitely sounds like he bought this off of Fiverr or something. When he started out, like a few years ago as a wrestler. Because, I mean, it's good, but it's just and it's just kind of that over and over again. I do think it's catchy, though, and I do think it's a good wrestling song, but if you're listening to this, Scott, if this just came on, would you immediately recognize this as probably a wrestling song?
No, I think what you said, I would think this is more like something you could buy to put behind your Instagram video or your YouTube video or something like that. I'm curious if any fashion lords that listen to this can tell me whether that Burberry scarf is still some better than you shit. I don't know.
That's actually his catchphrase, is that he's better than you, and that's why he wears the Burberry scarf.
Right. I mean, I'm looking at it, and clear that's supposed to be the thing, is that he's on some sort of like, rich boy thing. Yeah. But that scarf is so wrinkly and shitty, it looks like he got a TJ Maxx. So I'm just curious. I don't even know if Burberry is still a thing with, better than you people. I'm curious about that. This beat is incredible. This it's very catchy. It's got that big slow synth bass. That's me. That's my thing. I want to hear slow synth bass. You can do whatever else you want on the top of that, and we're good. And then I think like that sort of plinky thing makes me think of like Still Dre or something. I like that plink 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 plink. That shit. Chiming samples, cool. fucked up drums. It sounds like there's an error. I don't know how you get an error through a drum machine. Usually it just fixes it for you. But like it kind of goes off the beat a little bit. I like that too. I don't care. This is the song of a generation. This is the best one on the probably the best one on the list.
Wow.
It's literally just a loop. I don't think there's any song development to it. I don't think there's even two parts. I think it's just one part over and over. I like this one.
I kind of meant to say that at the beginning, where it's on one hand you think, oh, it's probably tough to come up with a catchy song to walk out to when you're a wrestler to like kind of fit your theme and blah blah blah. But at the same time. Yeah. You really only need 30 seconds of good music and just to loop that. So if you hire musicians that can't write 30 seconds worth of good music, then I don't know, maybe you should not be a musician anymore because you're clearly failing. So yeah, and that's kind
the
of
other thing about like listening to this kind of music in your car. What do you're getting to bite? You like do they make full length versions of that? Like, could he listen to 3 minutes of Better Than You? Is that an option?
I don't know. Maybe. The next song is kind of the ace of AEW, the main guy. They're supposed to build the company around, but it's kind of not really working out like that. He was the number one wrestler in Japan, left Japan to form AEW. It's Kenny Omega, one of the greatest wrestlers in the world. His theme song, I can't see the title, but it's Battle something or something like that. But
Battle Cry, yeah.
Battle Cry. If you heard the song with no context, you'd be like, what the fuck is this dumb shit? But the context here is that Kenny Omega, he speaks fluent Japanese, and he loves video games. And those are the only two facts you need to know for this song to make total sense. This song, I think, is almost like annoying. Like it's close to annoying to me. But in the realm of Kenny Omega, I can't think of a better theme song for him. So I do think this is a great wrestling entrance. I think you would have to be like really into anime or some other type of Japanese entertainment to get anything out of this song because it is a shit song, but great entrance theme. But what do you think, Scott?
Does Jericho sing this as well?
I don't think so. I hope not. I actually don't know, but I hope not.
If he did, it's pretty like it's not my thing, but it's like he spent the last 20 years getting really good at this groove metal roar because whoever sings this is pretty good at that style. The intro kind of makes me feel, it doesn't sound like it, but it makes me feel like the Van Halen song Right Now because it's got that kind of dramatic build up. The one that got used for Crystal Pepsi. Which is fitting because Kenny Omega seems to be wearing the scalp of Sammy Hagar in this picture. This is a guy people like. I've heard of him. I assumed he was maybe the ringer, the guy they hoped was going to save the day. It's kind of like a shitty metal song, but once it picks up and it goes through that like skipping through the tulips beat part, it definitely sounds like a bullet hell game or something. Like I'm playing one of those really insane, some sort of very fast-paced, insane Japanese game that doesn't make much sense. And then 2/3 of the way through, it just drops out and becomes like a Swedish metal mosh part, and then sounds like Mastodon. But this is a lot of shit. This is the most development. Like, how does he march? How does he walk out to this?
Yeah,
is this all happening?
So that's the other thing. So when he comes out to this song, they cut out that whole like 45-second intro, and it kind of just he comes out to like where the song kind of picks up, and it only takes him like 30 seconds to walk down. So that whole second half, no one's ever heard. So. He's basically just walking out to that first 45 seconds of like the real like machine gun type of video game music that's going on.
The Cleaner, I don't like as a nickname. I don't like that. Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega, you already have a nickname. Kenny Omega's got to be a nickname, right? No one's born with that name. You don't need the Cleaner. Just ditch that shit. I was definitely wondering if this plinky kind of dramatic Halloween intro got people pumped. Like they heard this.
I think it definitely sounds very Japanese. This sounds like a theme song from a Japanese wrestling promotion, so it makes sense. The next one is the Lucha Brothers, Pentagon Jr. and Rey Fenix. Their song, I think, is just called Lucha Brothers. This is kind of like how the Proud and Powerful theme song is probably just kind of on the cusp of being a real song that you could listen to. This is definitely, they took the wrestler route on the Lucha Brothers one. Like, it's good, but it's kind of like the Kmart version of the Proud and Powerful song, where it's good enough for a wrestling team, but I don't think outside of that. And they kind of just repeat the same, like, 4 bars over and over again. And they know that they're only going to be walking the ring for so long. So, as a wrestling entrance, it's fine. It kind of gets them over and what they're about, but not much after that for me.
Yeah, don't waste your time, guys. Just make exactly the amount of music you need. Like, don't fuck around. I actually thought the opposite. I thought this one kind of fulfilled on the promise of Santana and Ortiz.
Yeah.
It gets the same kind of slow ass, hard ass beat, but this one has the Taco Bell ringing over it, which is a value add. I like this one. I thought it was performed better. It's probably a lesser song, slightly less creative, maybe.
Yeah.
Santana Ortiz. But I thought this is nice and hard, and it's the same genre, I guess. I found my genre as wrestling theme song, hard slow rap. These guys look cool as shit.
Yeah.
The black masked dude on the right looks super cool, but doesn't Lucha Brothers, if you name your band Lucha Brothers, isn't that like naming yourself the wrestling guys? Like, does it just mean we're the wrestling brothers? Ta-da!
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who came up with that name. I don't know if that was self-imposed or that was just like a promoter was like, "You're the Lucha Brothers now," because it is kind of corny, to be honest. But it's it flows a lot better than just saying Pentagon Jr. and Ray Phoenix, even though they are actual brothers and they don't have the same last name. So I guess
the guys in the background the same guys.
Yeah, that's just a different picture of them. Yeah.
Oh, okay. This is cool. This black mask guy looks wicked. This rapping is hard. Yeah, this one's good. Are these the only luchadors in the whole squad, or there's other luchadors?
I think they're the only. They might be the only Mexican guys in AEW. Come to think of it, I never thought about it, but yeah, I think they might be the only ones.
Yeah, so they do get to we're the Lucha Brothers.
That's us. We are. Yeah, we're the Luchas. The next one is Cody. He used to be known as Cody Rhodes. He's Dusty Rhodes' son. He's another one of the guys who's like a part owner or whatever of AEW. So he's always booked to be like the best good guy. And like, he looks like a fucking prick. So it's kind of just like, I don't know why you're just not a bad guy. But anyways, his song is very much in the mid 2000s WWE style. But I think he had this song made for him after he left WWE. And it kind of sounds like the song lyrics are like telling his story or something, which I find incredibly corny. Because it's like the Arthur theme. You can't have a song that's just telling the plot. That's real corny.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's a wrestling song, so it can only be so deep. But this sounds like a song the type of person that would pay somebody to write a song about them. This sounds like that song, so it kind of makes sense. I think it works decently as a wrestling entrance because it's kind of memorable, but if you ever dig too deep into the song, the lyrics are kind of atrocious, because I think he just wanted somebody to write something about him and make him sound like a cool superhero, but it's just real bad. But yeah, so okay as a wrestling entrance, but I don't want to hear this in a car.
This one, speaking of alternate costumes, this guy looks like a shitty Tekken character nobody would be into using, like wearing his alternate outfit. Like in the screenshot, he really looks CGI. And what's with the background version of him? They pasted the same dude next to himself, but they put like some smallpox filter on him or something like that. He's all like bubbly. Why would you? What? This is basically the same genre as that Judas song.
Yeah.
Same, more or less. But I looked it up, and this is a band. This is a band that exists. Like, they're out there, like, making this music on purpose. Like, they probably got hired to do this and whatever. But I think this guy is slightly better at the yelling vocals than maybe Jericho is, especially sort of toward the end of the chorus. It gets a little bit, more amped up, and his yelling is cool. But that's because this is one of those weak bands that has two singers, so one guy could be the yelling expert. I hate that. I really hate that. So fuck that. This is way too melodramatic to get me pumped. It's just kind of like a boring song. We've talked on our show a lot about these, when you do this like all intensity music, like when you don't chill out at all, or you don't let up, and everything is just the fucking national anthem or something like that. It's like, you gotta slow down somewhere. You gotta ease up. But yeah, this might be the worst. No, this isn't the worst one on the list. I take it back.
I think I know what you're going to say. Okay, the next one is the Young Bucks. This is their theme song, Super Kick Party. And I think this is kind of an update of the Super Kick Party they used to use. And I should have checked beforehand, because that was half the reason I chose this. But so just like a brief primer for Scott, these are the couple of the guys that kind of started the promotion, and they are widely popular. They're like merch selling machines, but they're also like, as far as like merchandise and everything about them outside of wrestling is just like the kings of mediocrity. So it's just like, it's not like they're selling beautiful things. It's all fucking trash. And since, sorry to say it, but most wrestling fans are trash. They're like, oh, that's great, wonderful trash. And I think these guys have kind of developed a complex in real life where they're super positive and they have that like Christian attitude where they can do no wrong, and if you kind of insult them, they take it really horribly, just like that type of Christian attitude. And so before, like, I don't know who put together this version of the theme song, but before this, they used to have their dad, who's like an amateur musician, write their music and like other interstitial music they use, and like their dad's musical level is like, I would put him on like the Wesley Willis scale, where it sounds like really good like outsider art, where you're like, oh, that's cute. But these guys are really championing it as like, oh man, my dad writes the best music, and so their dad's version of this song was just like a real bare bones raw basement version of this, where it's just like a guy playing a keyboard going super kick party just for like a minute, and all these people are like, oh, that's so amazing, because they just love this tag team so much. It's like they're like New Kids on the Block or something like that. And this version is a slightly more produced version of that. It's horrible. I don't even think this works well as a wrestling theme song. I think just they could do better. They are kind of one of the figureheads of this company. I think they could have somebody better make their music. And I think outside of all the kind of main guys in this promotion, they have like the weakest song, and they should I don't know, they should really work on that. But this is a thumbs down all around for me.
I don't know anything about the Young Bucks, obviously, but the screenshot of them here is they're both apparently wearing like what a 14-year-old boy's idea would be of the pajamas that you're going to wear when you have sex. like those Valentine's Day pajamas. But then, like later on, a different version of this song auto played that sounded way better, and it had that kind of like a 8-bit version of their logo. And
okay.
They seem to be doing like some kind of like the Dragon Ball Z fusion pose in their logo. Are these guys Dragon Ball themed?
No, they're not. That would be horrible.
Is a super kick a formal thing, or is it just any kind of above average kick? Like
it is a trademark kick. Yes, it's kind of like a high. So it's basically just a high karate kick, like the just the standard Taekwondo logo pose is the super kick, basically.
I'm with it enough to know that the Bullet Club is a thing, and that like this skull with the bullets that shows up almost everywhere and every one of these videos really seems to be diluted. It's a really diluted brand. I don't know. Are these guys all a lot of them were. I don't need a full explanation, but just as like fucking.
Yes, a lot of them were, and then they left New Japan, and New Japan owns the rights to the Bullet Club, so now they just have like their own little thing. Yeah.
So they just like scattered the Bullet Club branding around to 6,000 different places.
Pretty much, yeah.
I'll tell you what, this beat certified sick. You don't have to like it, Mike, but what's great about this beat is that, it's a lot of firsts. It opens with the first tapping riff that you will learn on a guitar. If I send you a guitar in the mail, you'll learn this riff first. It's got some samples that sound like they're pulled off a Commodore 64, like the super kick. It sounds like it's actually from a very old sound card. But this is a beat that a strutter can strut to. So to me, it seems like something to strut down to the ring. That part works. What doesn't work is that it ends with the phrase, we're killing the business. I hate that phrase. To me, it sounds like they might as well have said, we're funky fresh, or show me the money, or something at the end. Like that's a tragedy. So I don't know much about these guys. I don't care. I've definitely heard enough about them to figure that they had to be some kind of big timers. But wow, this is a shit song. They need to go back to their dad.
They do. Okay, the next one is the current women's champion, Riho, and this is a song called "Eternal Beauty." I don't know the origins of the song. I don't know if she had the song before AEW and this kind of transferred over from her Japanese home promotion. I could have probably not included this, but I wanted to keep it at 10. So I threw hers in there. It's a fine song. There is a part where it kind of like builds up where it sounds like an actual video game, where I think they stole this from a video game, and it's been bothering me. It sounds like maybe a part from Street Fighter or something like that. But I think she could be sued over this song. It's a good song, though. It's a lot of the Japanese women wrestlers kind of have the same sort of tone in songs. Like, I mean, a lot of the Japanese entrance music in general kind of has the same tone. So I think this is a good song. I think it helps her stick out because it's so much different from all this fucking shit dad rock that is also going around. But yeah, it's a fine song.
Yeah, I was thinking Dance Dance Revolution. Like that's like this sounds like one of those dancing games. I don't even know if they make those anymore. That's one of the early things that made me feel old in this life. Is, when people started dancing at the arcade, and I looked at a lot of. My first question was, do a lot of Japanese wrestlers strut out to DDR music? And answer that. I'll say that's a little bit of a surprise. It shouldn't be. There's no reason that should be a surprise, but it just feels like a surprise. So I looked up the guy who made this, YMZ no Masaki. And it says that he is a producer of gabber and other kinds of hard bass techno. That's some good shit. I like that because I didn't know if gabber was still around in the world. Like to me, gabber was you'd accidentally stumble on a college station playing gabber, and it would literally just be a boing for boing boing with no music for hours. You'd drive around for hours listening to this stuff. That's still around, I guess. And this guy apparently lives his life as an anime character. All of his Twitter feed is about him like doing anime things with pink hair, and that's cool. Like, live it. The only problem with this, like, I think it's fine. The only problem is there's no like pop to it. It's just steady.
Yeah.
Just this steady music because. Like, I think it's meant to be punctuated with, like, 1,000 combos, super performance, you're breaking a sweat. It's supposed to have some guy chanting, like, you're doing great. And without that, it's just kind of music. And, the crowd can't go wild if there's not, like, broken glass at the beginning or, like, those John Cena or something, to let you know that we're starting it. It just kind of becomes, and then she just walks out to it, so...
Okay. The last one before the bonus is saving the best for last. Is SoCal Uncensored, SCU as they're known, which is the team of Chris Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, and Scorpio Sky. The song is called SCU. That's kind of their crew initials. This is possibly one of the worst songs to ever grace wrestling. But a little context to make this a little better. For the people out there who hate this song, because everybody hates this song. I know Scott's going to say he hates this song because it's fucking awful. Like, it's fucking amazingly terrible. But I don't think this was the intention, but the way I look at it is I'm pretty sure every single wrestler in this group is over 40. Like, they might not be over 40, but they're definitely late 30s, pushing 40. Chris Daniels, the main guy, is he's like mid-40s. So when you think of it in that context, this sounds like a song that people that age would think would be cool, like, because they're kind of dad-aged. And if you didn't listen to music since high school, you'd be like, oh, we get to make our own wrestling theme? We're going to do, like, Beastie Boys raps on it, and we're just going to have, like, the worst, most basic lyrics, and that's going to be our song. And I think in that context it works. If you think of these guys as, like, old, out-of-touch dads, that's not what they're going for, but when I hear it, that's what I think, and so I think it works. But I really hope there's no one out there that genuinely likes the song or listens to it in their car or whatever, because this is really one of the worst songs ever written for any purpose, not just wrestling, but just for any purpose. But Scott, what do you think?
Yeah, like dads who have maybe been in prison for a while. So when they came out, they're still trying to do what they did 35 years ago. This is the opposite of the Lucha Brothers and the Santana Ortiz, because it's this terrible and sloppy. And this, again, I don't know how you do this, but the beat is fucked up. Like, the computer will fix this. Whether you want it to or not, the computer's going to say, no, dude, that's not where that beat goes, and it's going to, like, quantize it for you and put it in the right spot. I don't know how they're doing it. Like, it defies technology, but they screw up the beat on this. The guys all look like the defaults before you start customizing your character. They're just sort of bald muscle old men or whatever. But yeah, this is the other one I was thinking of, where the vocals Like, this doesn't even sound like a pillow. This just sounds like he's got his hand over his mouth when he's rapping. And
Yeah.
it's bad, and it's something that I would have been upset about. Like, this is like opening band stuff. The metal parts of it are kind of like they're definitely opening groove metal band thing. So you said some of these might not be official, but would the real version of this actually lower clumsily so they could play a bunch of funny quotes at the end? Is that how the real thing would happen?
I've never heard of the end in a wrestling context, so I don't know.
Oh man, it's just like all of a sudden, like it's like someone accidentally brushed on the fader and then just shakes it down. The song just kind of goes away, and someone starts going like, "This is the worst town I've ever been to," and
Yeah.
they just start saying all this shit. And I think it's supposed to be like, I guess if you're a fan, you're supposed to think it's funny or something like that. But boy,
Yeah.
it sucks. It really sucks. Yeah.
Okay, so overall, the ups and downs of AEW. I think a while ago I harshly tweeted that AEW has the worst music in wrestling history or something hyperbolic like that. But yeah, after a few months, I think it's evened out. Like I said, there's 10, 20, 30 wrestlers. We didn't even bother going over. All that shit is kind of stock. But, this has its ups and downs. But there is a bonus song. This song is Yuka Sakazaki's theme song. The reason this is a bonus is because she started out in AEW, and I thought they were like going to build the women's division around her, and she's just been MIA for months now. I don't think she's been on it since they started their own TV show, so I don't know if this would even be an AEW song anymore. And I only wanted to include this song because this is probably my favorite theme song going right now. As Scott said about Riho's theme song, just not starting out with basically a whimper. This is the exact opposite of that. This song puts you at full 1000% attention as soon as it starts. From 0.00 seconds, you are at attention because it is just this repetitive yeah, just over and over again for a solid 30 seconds. This is I don't know who composed this. I don't know if Scott did the legwork on this one, but man, this is a home run. She should win all the belts just for having this theme song. I hope she comes back. I hope they work out whatever their differences are, because this is the greatest theme song ever.
This is sung by her.
Oh, yeah, I knew that. Yeah.
Yeah. Created by Typhoon Kaz. I don't know who that is, but yeah, I don't know much about that. This was a test. This one. Is that is that indicative of something, or is that just her going bananas? Like, she's having a good time.
I think that's, yeah.
I didn't know if that was meaningful to AEW. They go, oh yeah. But, once this song settles down for a minute, when it gets past that, it becomes just regular late 90s J-pop. That's fine. It's got the crazy swirling fantasy synths. It's got the multi-track, terrible idol singing. Something almost close to a hook, very close to being a hook. Yeah, I don't know if did you ever listen to actual J-pop when you were more of a nerd as a child? Did you listen to
here and there? I wasn't really into it or anything, but I try to get into it.
There would be idol singers back in the day who were exactly this bad. So I'm super nostalgic by this. This really took me back to it, in a good way. This was one that other than the intro, I couldn't understand how this worked as a wrestling entrance, because it starts out hard. So I guess this one makes more sense. But back in my day, there would be crowd noise and an announcer, and then you'd hear, "Oh, you didn't know?" And you just know to jump the fuck up out of your chair and start going wild. And nobody seems to, none of these themes have that kind of thing.
They don't,
yeah. I couldn't really figure out how the kind of the regular video game music kind of stuff would pop. Maybe AEW crowds are super quiet or whatever. Or maybe they just play a crazy screensaver behind the entrance so you can have this immersive dating sim experience with this song. But, this one is definitely sweet. Except for the fact that, just when you're getting back into the mode, it starts doing the yeah thing again, and it's got some bounce, but it's a trial. The song is a trial, and the ups and downs.
Well, there you go. This is hopefully the final segment of this episode of Virtual Pros. So, Scott, do you have anything out there to plug?
Just Border Boss and Family podcast, the Border Boss family of podcasts, and I hope you enjoyed the most recent shirt.
Yeah, check out the Border Boss podcast, soon to be on the Jericho Network.
The Jericho Network.
Go!